Hey, welcome everybody to Open Mic, Battle Pirates Crib. I posted a link on the right-hand side in case anybody'd like to join us. I think we're going to start with how everybody's doing in Ray of Destruction. Any tips or strategies you're using? And then I guess the big question we'll wait to is what's everybody picking, the Bat Ray or the Razor Tail? I'm not sure that we have a huge amount of answers on that one, but let me go ahead and introduce everybody from left to right. Magic Mike.
Hi. Don't do like I do.
And John. Okay, John's not with us at the moment. Or
is that me?
Yeah,
that's you. Well, that's what it says on your.
Oh, right. Yeah, I wasn't sure if it said Watchman or John. Sorry. Yeah. Hi.
Okay. Watchman. Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. And Benjamin?
Hi, guys. How y'all doing? Hope your raid's going good.
Well, thank you. And I think it's probably going well for a bunch of people. And G Daddy D. Long time. How are the Punishers?
Hey, guys. How's it going? Hey, Hefe.
Hey. And I'm posting the link one more time. And so I guess we can start on how everybody's doing in the raid. It's a lot of stuff out there. I mean, a huge amount of points if you want them, especially if you want to get outfitted to be for concussive base defense. With all those turrets out there added to the 100,000 it requires to secure either the Bat Ray and its whole kit, or the Razor Tail. There's a lot of points that are being asked for us during this raid, but at least we have several more days than before. But it seems like they amped up the damage quite a bit. But how's everybody doing so far?
I haven't noticed any increase in the damage. Seems to be taking consistent, same as last raid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you running missiles or scatterguns on your manacles?
Scatters, just hitting the top set, the tier 8s, with a Grease Monkey crew, 5 gold, hit 500 million,
Okay.
spent less than £20, basically. Just a fraction over 200 gold, I think. And I'm virtually done, you know what I mean? But I had to be. So I've got a work weekend. So.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, but I haven't noticed any increase in damage. Not from my side anyway.
Yeah, mine seems to go up and down a little bit. It could be my fault, but yeah. Has anybody else noticed an increase in damage, or everybody's same as last couple months?
Well, I've learned how to drive my fleet better, so I'm taking less damage.
Okay. How much damage were you taking before per set?
For a full set, I'd take about 5 hours damage.
Okay.
This time I'm taking roughly an hour and a half, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, for the set, yeah. I just ran through because I was actually trying to I was trying to rush through my last S set with my scatter mana cores, and I took an hour and no, wait, I took an hour for that. It was like 2 hours and 20 some minutes for the full set rushing through. And I didn't actually notice that much difference rushing through. And I didn't even use the crew. I didn't even use the big steelhead crew. So I actually noticed a reduction in damage the last couple minutes. I'm not sure if it's just some sort of weird luck. But I got down to about an hour and a half last time around. So I'm seeing an increase, but it sounds like we're dealing with like different amounts of damage that we're taking per set. So maybe that's part of the whole issue.
Yeah, I'm driving like a bull in a china shop. There's no finesse in mine. I won't lie to you. But I've got a Grease Monkey crew, and I just wanted to smash it out. You know.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
I wonder if it
Chief
makes a
Daddy, how
difference
are you
too.
doing?
I'm not doing too bad. I've got I ain't got the right fleets built really properly. I've got 3 Skyfires, including a Gutspill Skyfire in one fleet. I've got 4 Skyfires in other fleet. I've got 5 Phoenix in other fleet and 4 Mantas in other fleet, and I'm also in 3 41s at the same time, as well as doing 61 repairing, 63 repair, 65 repairing, and then a 63 in repairing. So I'm getting points that way.
Okay.
At the moment, I am on 16.1 million just by doing that. I know it's not a lot to you guys, but to me, that's quite a lot. I usually ain't got 10 million by end at raid, but since I've been getting up as I am now, I'm getting 10 million in first day.
Okay. So you decided to skip over the mana cores?
Well, no, I ain't had time to build them really. I've got the 4th one built, but I haven't got the flag built yet. I've got the Makara built, but only as a blank.
I'm still questioning. We've had 5 months to build Manticores.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Let's not go down this rabbit hole.
Sorry.
I mean, there's a potential he's still building Punishers.
I understand there was a lot of other fleets in between. You probably had to build other shore fleets.
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay, I'll give you that.
FM Prototype Seekers.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, G Daddy needs like a personal shopper, because he does buy things or build things. It seem a little bit out there at times. But hey, TSM, how are you doing?
Hey, buddy, how are you?
Oh, just dandy. How's your raid going?
Doing a slow one, mate, to be honest. Just got the whole yesterday. I did the hour preview stream, got that sorted out. And then I've just been messing around with other things. So Skyfires, people struggling, I think. No hit down multiplier in the 60s, which is nice for a change. So I've just been hitting the 65 only. Mm-hmm. Getting the 4 set down to 75% damage, and then just literally once it's there, then going and hitting the 65, and then just repairing the ship, the flagship. Mm-hmm. 3 minutes damage, for 2 minutes work. Go back in the dock, fix it, and then go back out again. Just keep zipping in and out, and literally, it's about a minute and a half each one to do, and it's costing nothing then, because once they sit at 65, 75% damage, then they just stay there all the time. The other 4 ships, don't they? So it's basically a free raid. And I worked it out. You can get about 15 million points for an hour's work for no coin.
Yeah, that's it's a twist on what I've been doing. I've been using my scatters to hit the S-sets, and then while those are repairing, I have missile mana cores that I can hit to 65 for instant on the map, and then I get that 300k every time for the 2 minutes.
Yeah, the 65 is a good one, isn't it? Because, 63 is just too much damage. There's far too much in here. There's always one. It's generally the middle one of the set. It's obviously 100k less. And, by the time you've done all 3, and you got the little bit of bonus, but, one's only worth, 100k, the next one's worth 200k. And I know you get the bonus at the end, but by the time you've done that and you want to be able to keep going, you may just hit off the single target and just keep rinse, repeat.
Yeah, because the 65 is worth 300k.
Yeah, just over
here.
Yeah.
And the 61 and the 63, if you sort of take the 65 out of it, including the bonus, are worth 350. But they have an extra Kodiak in them that basically forces a lot of people to go back and break down and fix. But the 65, at least, with what I'm using, is just instant repair on the map. It's like 2 minutes and click and then go find another one. Which brings me to an interesting point that I guess Kixeye Eye is now looking at, and I'm not sure if it's affecting everybody, but when I use the locator, there can be a target right next to my base, but it sends me to another sector when I use the locator.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I've noticed that. I had to go right past. When I was doing it earlier on, I had to go right past a 112, and it sent me to another one, which was much further away, which I thought was really odd. And it wasn't because I just happened to stop and glance at the screen and thought, why have I just sailed past one when I'm heading towards one?
I gave up the locator I'm running on a 50-inch 4K screen here, and basically I just zoom out and I can just see the next one, You know what I mean? And I say that, especially when you're running a Grease Monkeys crew, because every time if you're running like a minute and a half to find the next one,
Oh, absolutely.
there's one 10 seconds away. You know what I mean? And I worked out that I could be losing up to 30 million points, like 20 to 30 million points just by chasing around after targets.
I mean, yeah, it's a bit tinfoil hattish, but it does seem to be happening, and I don't know why. So it doesn't normally happen. Normally, it does send you to the right one. So,
But we had that issue right after the update with all of the silo targets,
yeah, agreed.
where it was sending you everybody to sector 100 except for the and it was out of your world. So I'm assuming it doesn't seem far-fetched that it's somehow related to that, and it's not an intentional thing that they're doing. It's just code buggery and whatnot that's been going on.
Probably more probable than possible. Yeah, you're probably right.
Buggery going
Have you
on.
noticed the chat going wacky as well? As you finish a target, it suddenly goes to all. You know what I mean? You could be on Alliance chat or sector chat. As soon as the target is completed, it seems to default back to all chat.
That hasn't been happening to
I've
me.
been watching.
What browser are you using?
A few of my guys. Well, I've been using both, but I'm on Google and I'm on I'm on Facebook at the moment. But a few of the other guys in my alliance have said, yeah, the same's happening to them. As soon as the battle ends, it sort of seems to auto default back to all chat as opposed to being the one that you selected.
I'm not sure if that's a recent thing, but because I mean, constantly game updates almost every week, isn't it? But normally when I go on straight away, the first thing I do is I go into Alliance chat. I just press full stop, hit return. Then I go into onto the world map. I press full stop in Alliance chat, hit return. Then I go into a battle, press full stop, hit return. And then because I'm in all three areas, combat, on the sea, and in my alliance when I'm actually in my base, it tends to stick on the same screen. It doesn't unless I have to refresh the game, and then it does it again, sort of stuff. So I don't know if that would help at all, but that tends to work for me.
Yeah, I can try if I plan on doing any more raid.
Yeah, I'm sure I missed a bit of it, but I'm sure you've done quite a lot on chat about on raid. But for anybody that's really
I've
up
hit
there,
500 now anyway, so that kind of does me.
but there's not a lot of exciting stuff in this raid, to be honest.
But there's a lot of things if you want to, if you want to be a member
they
of
want
the
you to get them,
Concussive
don't
clan,
they? They want you to get this stuff, and to be honest, a lot of the stuff is a bit meh. It's a lot of second-rate stuff in it. I mean, if you're out of specials and you want to, I always think it's always good to get ship specials and base specials because they either drop them in tier 5 in the FM, which is a buggerance, and that sort of stuff, or you wish you had that thing that came out 2 years ago that now you haven't got, and all of a sudden, it's tipped up that there's another turret and it can really be helpful. But
still no Chaos Chain Gun because I know a few guys that still want that.
Yeah, true. But I mean, there are other ways of getting around that, and I'm sure there'll be. Some of the old specials never turned up, and they just never turned up. And we asked them for several times, and all of a sudden, the new one came out, and it was 10 times better than the old one anyway. I mean, and that's not a justification, but some people just like to collect prints. I do. I'm a print collector. I don't have to build them all, but it's just a hobby. I like collecting the prints. That's just the way it is. But some of the items, though,
I've never built any of the mega hulls. Now I've got a prints for a few of them.
All right, okay.
I've never built them. You know what I mean? Just because the amount of time they've taken, apart from the KDs, which I have got the BP for, but I've never built it. And now it's probably useless because the series is over. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I had a Man of War once.
Yeah.
I heard
He's
about that.
about to rebuild it, from what I heard. It's not confirmed yet.
But yeah, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of chaff in here, as ever. Only build what you need and never build what they want you to have, because the list looks massive. It looks like you got to get a gazillion points, and actually, I think I'm going to be stopping at 130. I think I'll stop at.
I want the ship, obviously, whichever ship I decide to take. So I haven't selected one yet. I'm still in two minds about which one to take. And the turrets, because I think just always take the turrets, because you never, with Op 11 coming out, if you've got the turrets, every turret option, you should be golden, hopefully,
Yeah, that's true. That's the thing that I mentioned earlier in the show, that there's they're dropping them all at this point, which is, I guess, good and bad. It allows players to catch up that might have been behind on turrets, but there's a lot of them, especially,
But they
since
brought some new ones out.
concussive group.
They've got a couple of new ones out, haven't they? They've got some concussive ones.
Yeah, they have all the concussive, all three of the concussive ones. We, just for the point, we have seen all. I think we've seen all the turrets we're going to see except for one, and that's the long range rad turret.
Rad,
we haven't
yeah.
seen that one yet, but we
Bounty,
got,
maybe.
yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's sort of it just sort of stuck out that that one is missing at this point, but we have everything else.
But,
There's a defender missing as well, isn't there? Defender and a turret. So
all the new turrets are pretty quick to refit. That's the thing. I mean, if you've made a mistake, you can refit them in a day. With the base parts. If you're going out with a Hydra fleet or something like that, you can refit 8 turrets in a day, easy.
Yeah, I refit 20 in a day.
Yeah, that's it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
that's super keen. That is.
Yeah.
I've done a few, but I've not done 20 in a day.
Well, because I switched, I got rid of my ballistic and penetrative in one day. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But I think as long as you've got all the options, you know what I mean, you can play around, with your base plan and whatever, Always, that's what I say. I say to the guys, just take them, just get them all, and then we can work it from there.
Yeah, I can hear that.
Yeah.
So I missed a bit. G-Jaddy, what are you using, buddy, this time? Because you have some crazy stuff.
Yeah, we went through that. Yeah.
All right, sorry, you've already done that. He always makes me smile because he has the craziest shit fleets ever.
Yeah.
I've just mixed up some fleets. Yeah, I've got some Skyfires and some Phoenix and some Mantas out.
I mean, you can almost, there's that TLC that's out at the moment, which looks quite easy. So you can almost get a second fleet. Someone actually said on our page that they built a second fleet just from that TLC. I don't know if you can. I haven't looked too close at it.
I think so.
Yeah, you can get about 90 tokens from that TLC. And
Wow.
I can auto that with 1 Savage and 4 Dragons as well for
Blimmin' heck.
minimum repairs.
All right, okay. Well, it gives opponents something to tank refit as well, don't they?
That's the second time that's been out as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's actually come back out again, hasn't it? Just now.
So you could have easily had 2 fully ranked fleets or of them and just had them running around. Yeah.
Blimey.
Yeah, well, I put my Makara on, didn't I? Not my Makara, my Greta to refit, and it's got 5 days, 19 hours left. I've got 5 days worth of tokens, so I'm thinking of using them and getting it out in 19 hours and then doing the rest of that campaign, because I've done it up to mastery. I've got 3 masteries to go, and I don't want to use them because I've got 58 tokens already. I mean, I can do it twice and that'll be 98 tokens, but I don't want to do the last one, if you know what I mean, to waste the tokens.
Blimey.
Yeah, but 98 tokens is, going from, 98 tokens is probably also a waste, but maybe not. Because this is for the Skyfire, right?
Yeah, for Skyfires, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure if it's the best use of your time and resources to get, that many tokens for a haul that is a couple generation, at least a generation back.
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody does different things, so it's part of the game.
Some people do 24-hour streams. Don't they, G-Daddy?
Streams, Mark.
I don't know how, but you do.
Yeah, some people only do 2.5-hour streams, so yeah, it's a difference.
Yeah.
I don't have that much beer.
That was the sound of my can just opening.
You what?
I said that was the sound of my can just opening.
I see. Okay. So we've talked about. Was it Ben that you were saying that you were getting your repairs down to 40 minutes per target in the ASET?
Yes.
Yeah. What are you using a tank, or is it? I mean, you're using scatter guns. Are you using it like the tank approach, where you're using one of these Savages out front, and you've got a pattern that you're driving?
Yes, I'm using my Makara as a tank with the scatter gun set up.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, my Makara has the Darkwing on it. And that's probably another reason I'm taking more damage than I should be. And I have 2 of the D6M and 2 of the D6CO armors.
Okay.
So it's working this time. I'm not complaining.
Yeah, it sounds like it's working well, and you have a lot of. It's not the everyman haul with a lot of those limited armors associated with it, but it sounds cool that it's working for you pretty well.
Yes, it is. Like I said, I've been lazy this raid. Well, not lazy, been busy. Haven't really had a chance to play, but I'm up to 67 mil at the moment.
Okay, so you haven't really hit that. You've hit 6 sets.
Yes. Yeah. Something.
Somewhere in that neighborhood, because you get 10 million a set. So yeah, it's okay. It's cool.
But there's really not a lot I want out of this raid.
Same, yeah.
You know, the turrets, and I took the bat raid just so I could name the fleet bat shit crazy.
I see. Yes. That's one way to do it. You know.
I mean, let's be fair. There's if refractory still hasn't happened, we're not quite sure what the heck's going to happen with the hulls. Will that something happen just for a couple of weeks before obviously it gets onto the next tier, or when the OP upgrade comes and that sort of stuff? I don't know, but if you haven't got for your favorite hulls, if you haven't got some ship tokens, then it's probably worth stacking a few. But you can only stack 7 anyway, so if you've already got them done, then they're a waste of time. There's no point refitting your armors, as everyone is generally saying, because you don't know what to refit them to. So there's no point in getting those. Yeah, a couple of turrets you can get if you really want to go that way, or just have them in the background sitting there. And the rest of it is really, only if you don't happen to have it. Get one of the other holes. You couldn't get 2 anyway. Job done.
Yeah.
Not a bad raid, to be honest. But then again, we have been prepping an awful long time for this one.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, if you're not ready for this one, you're not ready.
You're never going to be ready, mate. Yeah, exactly.
You can't be ready.
Yeah, and that's I'm not sure if we'd get into the worrisome of the 3-month raid cycle into ships again. I mean, that's the whole bugaboo, or whatever you want to call it.
I'm going to pick one and stick with one, and that's going to be it.
Do you know what? I was chatting to Ren about it, and I agree with him and his synopsis of, I don't think whether you go one ship or the other, it's going to make a lot of difference, because one target will be easy to that one ship and one target won't be so friendly. So the collective overall effect will be no different than the actual all-up damage that we're getting now with the Mantis.
You imagine if it was this raid, you're either going to get punished in the 112 or the 114.
Yeah, exactly that. So the collective effect is you're going to have basically about the same, as we are getting now. That's going to cost you about, as on average, to get all the items. It's about, if you want to coin that, is if people are sort of around the 2 to 3, it seems to fix every time sort of stuff. Then you're talking about probably $5. I think US to go and get the hull, and then obviously a little bit less to go get the rest. Unless you're really proficient, or you can do it slow time, obviously, and do it for free. But but not at the start of a raid series. We got the next one coming. So
I use the scatters. I've spent a fraction over £20. I said I've got 500 million, but I do have I've had the missile fleet for about 3 months. I used it a couple of times before, but after coming off of the bounty, I couldn't be asked to start grinding away with a missile fleet. You know what I mean? So I've done bull in a China shop with the scatters. Had a grease monkey, and that was it.
Yeah, and I sort of said I did the warm up. I mean, Price doesn't do it anymore, so I'm sort of like edging towards doing a bit of a warm up stream for people. And that's why I tend to sit in Alpha World now and just do the first hour and just see what the target's like, and then just people can have a look at it or not have a look at it. But I'm very much the same sort of feeling that for me, I would rather and now the app is out there as well. If I can do 3 or 4 targets and then be ready and fixed by the time I get home, then actually I've got to go in and do the annoying one that is not designed for that ship, and then try and drive it as best I can, and then that should hopefully limit my damage overall. And for me, then a bruiser ship, which is a blitzer, is probably the best option, because if you're doing a really technical ship, at long range, but then you're having to go into a target that you can't really use that long range capability to its advantage, then I just don't like the fact that missile ships clearly only, unless you're retargeting, have to take out one ship at a time. When the ship starts stacking on you, you get into a mess really quickly if you're not careful, or you just got to take a long time. And I'd rather not spend a long time doing the targets personally.
No, that's why I favoured the scatters.
That's just me, but I'm just thinking ahead. I mean, we're saying that that either ship. I mean, bear in mind their ploy for this is either ship will be as good as the other. Doesn't mean you're going to get less damage overall per set than we are now in this Manticore raid, and I think that needs to be emphasised a lot more than it has been at the moment. And I think people think they're going to get a very cheap raid series coming up, but I don't think that's going to be the case.
What I'm getting is the bat ray might be more of the technically what you call the skill hole.
Yes.
Or the targets are so diverse. I think that's somewhat what TSM is saying. The targets, there's a diversity between the targets where, as an example, if you use the bat ray, you hit target A, you might take a half an hour damage. You hit target B, you might get an hour of damage. Now, if you use the razor tail, that first target where you took a half an hour damage, you might be taking an hour on that one. But the second one, you're taking a half an hour. So you're taking an hour and a half overall.
Yeah.
No matter which hole you're using. So it's just so it's down. It is truly then down to your driving style. Are you one of these people that really don't mind sailing around doing one ship at a time, that sort of stuff, and you're going to save it, and then you can see where they're going. Right. Well, actually, if you want to shave a half an hour off the collective time, you need both fleets. Am I going to do that? No.
I mean, I was good with Fangs. I could really get it down to virtually. It was almost free with Fangs when I was doing the race with them, but it was slow. It was slow.
But it wasn't until the TLC came out that there was a target that you couldn't use the Fangs, was there?
Yeah.
And then there was another one where you couldn't use, the Hunter because you got annihilated. So the only time that we had, skirmish was actually when the Hellriff came out, where you could be really quite smart at driving and drive subs, or you could use the surface ships, and then just blitz it sort of stuff, So it's been some time since we've had a raid series where actually by being a very good driver, you could almost get away with having no damage whatsoever by being very skillful. There was no raid that's happened in the last quite some months now where you can get into a target set and get no damage. It just doesn't happen anymore.
Basically, I think since the last Fang raids, I don't think there's been any targets that you could do for almost free,
Yeah, and the advantage of getting the skill set, which used to take a bit longer to build and that sort of stuff, was that you went and got that skill set because actually you expected, then if you were a skillful driver as well, to go skill set, skillful driver, almost a free from there on. It might take you a bit longer, but you're not, you can just sit down and do it. Whereas when it used to be, Stu was on with me and that sort of stuff, he'd be like that, no, can't be bothered with that. I just want to go and smash them. And he would just go, right, I'm done for the night, 3 hours, I'm finished. Because he smashed them all out using the Blitz fleet.
Yeah.
And then we just crept into, in the last sort of 12 to 18 months, this term auto, which I really dislike because auto sounds like it's an excuse just to take lots of pain.
I think it's a skill fleet and a Blitz fleet. It's not a skill and an auto.
I mean, look at the current targets now. If you sit there in these Manticore targets, no matter what ships you're using, the ships will come towards you. And no matter if you can even counter all their incoming missiles, there's those sneaky little pellets on most of the prototype ships that then just give you that little bit of splash damage every single time. That's a very sneaky thing to do, to ensure that you are getting damage.
Yep, forced damage.
Yeah, very much so. It's a very sneaky thing to do unless you're kiting, and that's what I'm doing even with my scatter mantis. I'm not just going in there blitzing. I'm making sure I'm traversing across so that like the ammo carriers, they've got no weapons. Yes, they have. If you look closely, they've got those little tiny pellets that come out. So if you just drive up to it and stop, even though it's not shooting proper weapons at you, it's got a little pellet gun that's coming at you. Same as the draconian, carriers. You take out all the turrets, you sit too close, it's going to chuck these pellets out of you. So you got to almost like kite everything, which
This is it, I
encourages
mean,
you to drive.
I know they're going to hurt you anyway, and that's why I've gone down the Grease Monkey route. An hour and a half, blitz it, bang. As I said, I've spent maybe around £20, maybe just under, and 500 million. And that's my rate. I'm happy with that.
I'm personally just doing an hour a night. That's it, and I'm managing to get 3.5, nearly 4 rounds in, and then that's it. I'll fix, and then tomorrow night I'll do another one. So literally an hour and a bit, and I'm done. And that's how I'm going to do it. And I'll be at 150, I think, by the end. So
going forward, I mean, I'm thinking of the two holes. If the bat think is the skill hole, I might yet again go for the sort of bull in a china shop hole. If the other one is
the razor
more
tail,
that, the razor tail, and just sort of I've done with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've put my hands up from day one. I'm razor tail all the way, without a doubt. I've got a build already in my mind. There's 2 specials I want to get checked out first.
I get the feeling, and again, you're going to get hurt whatever you drive, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Well, as Heffa and I were just saying before, I got a funny feeling, and this was Ren's, nugget of wisdom, not mine, but I agree with him that, I think the collective effect of both, which is what they hinted at several shows ago of their own on BP Live, that one will do better in one target, one will do better in the other, and you won't see any benefit from owning either, so long as you can drive either, if that's your choice.
Yeah.
So
provided they don't screw us up with TLCs.
Yeah, I don't know, mate. I don't know. The worry for me is actually not the raid series, because the damage, if they're going to do what they said and that make sure it's even, then if one of the ships ends up taking more damage than the other one as a collective in the collective set, I guarantee they'll adjust it so that it is even. The point is, what's going to be the targets on the sea when that series is finished and we get to do the targets that's the Iranian ones.
Mm-hmm.
What target will they pick? Because some people will have one hull and some people are going to have another hull. So what targets are they going to use? The one that favors the razor tail, or the one that sorts out the bat rate? I don't know.
Yeah, and they're never half damage, are they?
And they're not half damage, no. So they should be slightly easier. But which one do you go for? Because anybody's
or a quasi, a combo target. I mean, yeah.
What? So everyone takes damage no matter what? Probably. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's
that
the
would
way
be a
they
smart way
design
to go.
targets
But
now. Anyway, you're going to take damage nowadays.
Yeah, I think that's the general consensus: is whatever you pick, whatever target you're going to hit at the top 2, you're going to take damage. So there is no way you can drive like with finesse and get away with nothing. You know what I mean? Come out there with a free repair. Unless you want to drop down a level. Which
I used to make a comparison like this is a beer target and this is a Riddlin target, or some people told me some other stuff as far as like how you drive the targets, and it seems like, I mean, I don't know, anybody that drinks and plays the game, have they noticed?
Who doesn't?
Yeah. I mean, do you drink because you play the game, or you?
I'm gonna say, what comes first, mate?
But my point is, there's not a huge difference. Like back in the, like the Hellwraith, if you fucked up a little bit, boom,
Cost you massive, yeah.
Yeah, as opposed to you might get away with instant repair or no damage, or you could end up with 12 hours of repair.
The Cannoneers, you could do those for free. With the Cannoneers, if you could drive those Cannoneers.
Yeah, that's fair.
They
and a good connection.
For free.
And a good connection.
and that's it. I mean, I was prepping for so many people with the Cannoneers,
Yeah, but I'm just sort of talking about, there's been a big push for the auto by, at times. And what it's doing is creating this amalgamation of this target as far as the damage that you take, as far as because they're trying to combine the auto idea with the skill driving idea, and it's
Yin yang.
The thing is,
losing
do you not, yeah, do you not think we created this problem ourselves? You know, so we've had a turnover of GDs and that sort of stuff. GDA, obviously, GDR sort of was there, then disappeared and went across to one of the other Kickstarter games, then popped back when GDA disappeared, and obviously now he's had to move on and has gone elsewhere and that sort of stuff. You know, and we've got Long Thinker in. So through the churn, okay, of game designers at the lead, okay, and they keep picking up on this auto whole thing, which, remember I said go back to Stu would come on our TFC show and he'd be like that, yeah, I just want a freaking auto and get away. And then that sort of, I'm not saying he's the instigator, but I mean, I'm just saying in general, people go, the non-technical target, I want to heat that many times as I can. I'll just push my way through it just to get it over and done, as Watchman's just said there, because I'm sick of doing other things, and I'll put up with a little bit of extra damage. And I just think that the company has picked up and gone, oh, they don't mind that, so that's fine. And then we've just, over 18 months, we've bled down that avenue where they agree and then they start saying this is the auto one, thinking that we are more than happy to have lots of enough damage to go, yeah, that's viable. And then they're thinking, well, hang on a minute, we can't just have a skill hunt that costs nothing at all. So we've got to create some sort of damage in that one as well.
I was happy to use the Cannoneers for free. I was happy to use the Fangs for virtually nothing. But in this raid, I can't do anything for free. So as I said, I'll just go and smash it with the scatters, because there isn't a free option in this run. And there hasn't been from the start. I've not enjoyed this raid series whatsoever. And I don't think the next series is going to be any better.
No, because I think they're going along that path where there's a min and max damage, and that's the way it's working. And there's not the push to try to figure this out. The strategy's been reduced. As long as you have a semi-decent build that you can get off of forums, TFC page, shows, whatever.
I see a good idea. I think one of the guys posted up on the crib page earlier, and it looks like a good solid start sort of thing, a good idea. But and what I noticed for the first time is normally you used to be able to go into your shipyard and do a mock build, and they're not in there, are they? They've not been for me, but until you've actually got a hole. I can't go into my shipyard at the moment, because I haven't claimed anything yet. Okay, and
you
I
can
can't
still do that. At least you could a couple of days ago when I was putting the slides together for the show.
Clear, select hole, go to skirmish, and they're not there.
You got the tick box at the top, mate. Ticked. Top left.
Where are we?
Just above that, when you go to select things, there's a tick box top left, and it will show you all the things that you don't own.
Yeah, unowned items.
No, I'm not seeing that. Where's that? Hang on.
Show all unowned.
Yeah.
It says show all unowned.
Hang on. Let's go to. Oh, yeah. Oh, gotcha. I got you. Oh,
Okay.
idiot.
Yeah, so that should give you the option. And the only thing, obviously, then you can't put on is what won't fit.
You know what? No one ever mentioned that before. Right, okay. I can have a look at it now then, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go to the skirmish. So I can do a mock build now then.
You should be able to do a mock build, yeah.
Oh,
Should-
good.
Yeah.
Okay, I was wondering why that wasn't there because it was used to be there, and I didn't realise you had to tick the box. You never had to do
Yeah,
that.
sometimes I untick it myself just because I want to, get rid of the stuff I haven't got, and then especially if you're trying to help somebody else, you're trying to give. There's no point talking about things you haven't got. So if I get someone a copy of a screen, I say untick the box and let's just see what you actually own. So
That's it. Yeah, I'll do a mock build with both ships and see which one I prefer. But I think I'm going to go with the Razor Tail. To be honest with you. You know?
We can get into that. I mean, we haven't got to that part of the show.
Sorry.
It's okay. I mean, because I think it's somebody that's not been in the previews or anything like that. I do find it a little bit because I spent half an hour, 45 minutes going through that 1 minute video.
yes, the same. Mate. I mean. And Hefe, before we say anything else, one thing I will say about that 1 minute video, and I'm not taking the credit for it, but I did ask, and I said, look, can you, before we get into this raid, this last one of this series, can you put out a snippet, at least a snippet, as you used to do, because they haven't done for some time, of what the heck these ships are going to be doing and an indication of how they're going to work, because you can't make somebody pick something and then not be able to backtrack if they've never seen what they're going to go into. So at least they've done, and you're right, you have to zip forward, stop the frame, zip forward, stop the frame, and there is quite a bit of information in there, but you've really got to look at it and know what you're talking about.
Okay, but did you see anything about the special abilities that are associated with each hull?
Like the cav effect?
What will the effect, the ECM effect as far as blowing up the torpedoes?
Yeah, so, well, see, they didn't give you the whole piece.
Or the cavitator effect.
The cavitator I did, yeah, because obviously you can see 3 times in the video when you're using the razor tail, there were subs inside the aura, and they had various different levels on that meter of when the sub. What they didn't show, obviously, is a sub coming into it and how long it was taking to rise. They didn't show you that, and that didn't surprise me at all. But they did show you several little clips, okay, where the meter was full in one, a third in another, and I think it was just started in another bit of a clip or something like that. But you're quite right. There was no like, oh, look, if you drive into that, it takes literally 1 second. Okay, but if it takes 1 second, you don't need, the shells on your ship, because you go, do you know what? By the time the rockets get there, the things come up and it's going to kill it. But the hydrodynamic shells. But if it takes 4 or 5 seconds to come up, then quite right, you would want the hydrodynamic shells, even though you only get 8% of the hit power. But at least it's subsurface. So whilst those ships are rising, you are actually being able to hit them and take less damage yourself, sort of stuff. So
now,
interesting.
Sorry, the Wave Rider warheads, yeah, that gives you better detection, explosive damage, but it still doesn't cause damage underwater, does it? You still got to get the what's the other special
hydrodynamics.
Hydrodynamic, yeah. You still got to whack that one on as well.
That's about the only thing that will make things, unless there's nowhere to put a attack. So there are things that bring ships to the surface, but the only thing is the hydrodynamic that's going to be of use if it's worth putting on, because there are other things that are quite decent. If these things come up quite quickly, then there are other things that you really want to use that special slot for that will make your ships much better.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That is another caveat, is that you've got to use an extra special slot, or you might have to use an extra, which you might not have to use on the battery.
So is it a trade-off? And that's the question, isn't it? Don't know, and nobody does at the moment. Generally don't know. So whilst, as Effie was saying, okay, so we understand that the cavitation effect in that thing there. You get a little indication on the subs that are within it, and they pop up, and that's it. Now, do they all pop up at the same speed? Do some come up slower than others? Blah, 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 until we actually get to eyeball these targets, we're not exactly sure. But at least we know the concept. The other one, as Heffy was saying there, so the bat ray, there was an indication. I think there was a interdictor at the top. The torpedo came down, but just before it got to the area for the ECM, they cut and went to something else. So you never got to see the impact of that happening. How quick the torpedo died? Does it get so far in? And so you got a little flavor, but you didn't get the.
No real information.
Show me half a target, or show me 20 seconds continual play of this one, and then 20 seconds continual play of that one. I don't think they were ever going to do that for us, to be honest.
Yeah, and that part was the only thing we got out of that was the combat speed of the torpedo. But we didn't, because it looked like a fast Corvette when I saw it the first time. And so it's not like it's like 70 combat speed or something like that, or no more than 70, probably 80 or 90 combat speed, somewhere in that neighborhood.
The thing we don't know is when that torpedo hits the razor tail, because we've not seen that yet. But bear in mind, we've only seen the right ship in the right target, and they've never shown us the wrong ship in the right target, of sort of thing, or the wrong ship in the wrong target. When that torpedo comes out that interdictor and then hits the razor tail, and it's going to probably cause the slowdown effect, then let's see how much problem, because then something tells me that you want to be getting your razor tails up and going smashing that flipping interdictor as fast as you can. Don't know, never seen it, have no idea, but Hey, Red.
Hi.
Hey,
Hey,
mate.
Renato, how are you doing?
I
How are
mean,
you, Jeff?
Okay, doing okay.
the fact that they start with such high resistances anyway just tells me that there's going to be a huge amount of damage coming at us.
And it also creates like, and I think Ren's brought this up before as well, is the resistances get so high. Once you start looking at the stacking auras associated with the ships,
Yeah.
are we getting into this area where, putting something like, the hydraulic resistors or even like some of these armor things, like maybe we can drop an armor and put a charged armor in there and not deal with the cost because it already reached this minimum pass-through value where you're going to be taking this damage no matter what. If you're at 99.9, what's the point of putting more armor on these ships? Are you better off, as the example with the hydraulic resistors, are you better off putting on Speed System 6 and being faster and more maneuverable to avoid these things, as opposed to adding on the defenses associated with it? And I think these are things that we don't know in the game.
I think with the armor, normally it just allows your ship to last longer, but obviously you're going to take more damage. That could be the only thing, It depends how much damage you're throwing out. You might need that extra armor,
But what I'm saying is, there's a certain point where it used to be more transparent in the game 5 years ago.
Oh yeah,
That there was a minimum amount of damage that no matter what you did with resistances, there was a minimum amount of damage you were going to take. But it's so hard to test things nowadays that I don't know how we can know this, because we're getting into these, like, how are they going to progress from 99.9 as far as resistances? It's I think they've jumped the shark, or whatever word you want to use, is associated with the resistances once they've gotten to this level.
I mean, 6 or 7 years ago, I used to get onto when they used to have the test servers, and I would actually test different fleets, different builds, and then post a video up, to show the alliance and just generally put it out there. But we all know there were so many people just messing about, smashing each other's bases, and
Unfortunately, yeah.
that it just ruined that for us, and so that luxury was taken away, and they don't seem to be in a hurry to give it back to sensible people that could use that and pass that information back over again,
I mean, Ren's here now, and he'll back me up, and I've heard him do the same. We are trying to chip away at that. It's just how it's done, because if you're inviting one person and the other person saying, well, that person's got an advantage, and they'd share it with their alliance and that sort of stuff. So it's difficult.
Well, I mean, if it's put out on the big pages, the TFC, the crib, and stuff like that, then everyone gets to see what the target looks like, or it's gonna look like, and then no one's got an advantage.
See, I think they'll get you to test a concept, not necessarily a target. We're going to have this cav. Let's just say there was, okay, so we've seen it now, so we know the cav effect. Let's say, and they won't give you the target; they'll just give you a fraction of a target and go, come in and see what you think about cavitation effect. That I can understand. You go, oh yeah, and there'd be no problem with streaming that and go, do you know what, cavitation effect? That's interesting. Quite like that concept. You don't have to see a whole target. You just have to see a piece of something maybe, and then you can maybe build a picture of something. I mean, I don't know how they're going to do it, or if they ever will do it. But I'm quite for a random selection of people, and never two people the same. Maybe sometimes, in 2 series in a row. But pick on someone for a full series and that sort of stuff, and go, we're developing this, and do you want to come in and help us look at it, sort of stuff. You're a regular player, and you do your raids regularly and that sort of stuff. And it doesn't matter whether you're in alliance or not. I don't think, to be honest. But you're proactive and that sort of stuff. So. I don't know. I'm not going to be pro Kixie. It's irrelevant. In fact, they don't want, and Ren will back me up this. They don't want kiss asses. They want people to say this isn't working, and actually, if you did this, I think it would work.
I've never been a company man. That's why I'm self-employed. I couldn't work for anyone else.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but I agree. It's a real shame when those public, previews disappeared, but I can understand in some respects how they did. There's no point having 1,000 surveys that all said, you know, F you and all that sort of stuff when
Yeah.
you're trying to cut through. You know, it costs money for any company to go through lots of surveys. If it's just like, right, that one's in the bin, that one's in the bin, that one's in the bin, what was the point?
That's not the only reason they cut the public previews. People were using it to smash bases and do the opposite of what the preview.
Waste time, yeah.
Well, and again, that's been brought up and that's been posted everywhere. And I do understand that to a certain extent if what's being released reflects across the game. If something reflects across the game, as far as, you know, example, you know, they release Fangtooth and people are start hitting people's fleets, even though it's supposed to be PvE. It's a tricky thing as far as like, don't do this, don't do that, because they're going to learn a fair amount associated with, you know, what players want to do with this technology. Yeah, you know, but if they release, if they release a PvE thing and people are going around hitting people's megas, yeah, I understand that. But it shouldn't be strictly, you know, controlled by what what Kixeye wants, because I think Kixeye is going to learn more associated with what the players are going to do with the technology. There can be some idiots that show up, but it's tricky as far as, you know, how you drive that balance.
Yeah, I mean, the other side to that argument is, of course, if people go into the servers, start doing well in them, then they just make it harder anyway. You know, they turn up the damage anyway. So, you know, if people start sussing it out pretty quickly. But
that's what I was saying. It depends on what they show you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Are they going to show you the finished product? I highly find it unlikely. You know, a concept. You know, like I said, you know, like let's go and have a look at how, you know. Oh, I think it should come up quicker. You know, and like they actually mentioned on their their live show this week. You know, the players that came in the preview, we produced a rocket. We thought it was going to do really well. And actually, the players already found another rocket that was already in the game that was actually outperforming the rocket we're just about to bring on. So what do we do? Right, guys, we've adjusted the rocket that's about to come in, and it's now better than the one you were going to use. Yeah. Brilliant. It's also 5 hours quicker to build. Yeah. So that's just saved everybody across the whole of Kixeye game, you know, an awful lot of time, because otherwise we'd have recommended a different rocket and not the one that was being released.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen similar things like that happen in the past, so you know, it's kind of happened.
So that's where previews do work, you know, and that's the positive side of a preview. There's plenty of negatives, I'm sure there are, and that sort of stuff, you know. But, I know there are. But,
people are using the previews properly, you know. It's just, unfortunately, you always get a small group of idiots that sort of go in there. They used to go in there and sort of, you know, just start as if it's what's it, Wreckapalooza or
yeah, I know
you know, yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, I don't know. We got onto that, but there you go. Yeah, back to you, Hefe.
Well,
sorry.
It was just that it'd have been nice to have seen some or had some sort of preview of the targets that we might be wanting to hit, because at the moment we're going in blind building our fleets. We really don't know what we should be building. I mean, we know what we've been given in ship-wise, hull-wise, but we don't know. We've got no idea how they're going to perform, you know.
Yeah, how they're going to perform, I agree. You know, but Ren's here now. So, but as he sort of hinted to me, and as we said, you know, don't be surprised if the overall effect is no less amount of damage than what we're getting in this raid series, which is very similar to the previous raid series.
That's what I'm thinking. It's kind of a yin yang. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you know,
I agree.
You know.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hey, mate. You're right.
Hey, just Hefe asked something. And I like to share what I know, and I don't think it's anything confidential. I hope I'm not mistaken, but was shared. I asked point blank the same question, Jeff, about, you know, once you get past 99 point something, does it make a difference, or does it go into some sort of minimum pass-through damage, right? And so the answer I got is that no, it makes a difference. It's not going to go to minimum pass-through. So pretty much your decision whether you want to have 99.3 or 99.7 will make a difference.
And we all know that last little bit makes a phenomenal difference as well.
So I just thought I'd share this. Because it's a fair question, right? Silence. Okay, sorry, I won't say anything again. Evan.
No, I was just jumping into my shipyard and into design mode and seeing what I can get on it. on things.
Yeah, I guess Seth is out of the mic then because I thought he was going to say something. Okay.
No, Ren's got a really good chart he's put together already.
Problems, maybe. If he's not there, he might be tending to the puppy.
Yeah, he's dropped off, isn't he? I don't want to jump into the next bit, which I know about the ships. Well, talking about the ships, I mean, okay, so we're sort of in there. My concern is, right, then the resistances, as Ren said, you can climb up to what you like. That's great. So let's just say that, these ships are great and they're doing the S set and that's fantastic. What about then the people that don't have these ships and obviously they're supposed to hit the next sets down? So if these ships are so fantastic and the ships from last year, the hunters, that sort of stuff, God forbid a prototype, could maybe hit the tier 7, 6s and that sort of stuff. Then what happens when someone takes this latest fleet down into those tiers? As Ren was saying in our show, they would just keep going and going and going and going because their resistance is going to be so high in comparison to hunters. They're dropping down a difficulty level, which means they're taking less damage. Or are you going to lock everybody out of everything but the elite, the very top set? I don't know how they're going to do it.
Sometimes they put something in that the hunters and maybe even the fangs are resistant to in the lower levels that maybe the razor tail and the bat ray are not resistant to. That can hurt them.
So you mean like getting titanium on the water now when you use manticores? There's the drones in there, or not necessarily that one, but there are some targets that you wouldn't dare take a manticore in because Skyfires it's fine, but manticores it isn't.
That's it. So if you did take your super hull down to the next level, you're not going to benefit. It's for the tier 8, and if you want to go down, you're not going to be doing everything for free.
But that's that brings a concern, doesn't it? There's a lot of players that like to go, I'm going to drop a level. I don't get so many points, but I'd rather grind.
Yeah, they're not going to want us to do stuff for free. You know that.
No.
Well, those days are gone.
But I think the seat time doesn't pay. I mean, honestly, you can do 2 targets now and score 10 million points.
Yeah.
You try scoring 10 million points hitting 80s. I think you've got to do 3 sets. So you've got to hit 9 targets instead of 2. And
you're probably going to get the same amount of... Well, you could get the same amount of damage. I don't know.
Yeah, the seat time is just awful. I can't see an incentive to drop a tier. Of course, if you only have 3 new ships, 4 new ships, you don't have a full fleet, yada, yada, yada. Then yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. Because there are people out there that like to go and just keep going and keep going, well, actually, I'm quite content with this because I can take a ship out and keep fixing them. But...
Sorry, TSM. In the same way they lock the KDs out of the tier 8,
Very much so, yeah.
That
was just on tier. That was just on tier, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, but they could just lock them out.
That really fixes
but here's the problem: if you lock them out, that's the whole problem. I mean, let's say you lock the Bat Rays or the Razor Tails out of the 80s. So what's the option left for people who don't have a full fleet of them? They have 3 of those ships.
Like they can't raid because they never complete a whole target.
Well, they've still got to grind out with last year's fleets.
Yeah, but what if they don't have last year's fleet? Like they're a returning player, they don't have hunters or fangs, but now they're like getting the Razor Tail and they're going to build, but they're only going to have a fleet of 3.
Yeah, I understand that.
Because my math is if you don't coin and you're only going to rely on calendar time and FM tokens, you can only get exactly 3 ships in time for raid.
Yeah. Agreed. Three is what my math was as well.
And each aura gives you plus 36 resistances. So not having a fourth ship or a fifth ship makes a difference.
I think of the cav effect. You know, the speed that those ships come up and that sort of stuff.
So what I'm thinking is the only thing I can imagine is the lower targets. They won't have that many of these, what they call smart torpedoes or what have you, right?
Are there smart
Or
torpedoes
they're
and dumb
making
torpedoes?
and they'll surface faster. That's what I'm thinking.
Are there smart torpedoes and dumb torpedoes? Because, you know, we talked earlier before you showed up as far as like, I don't think we got a full flavor of what the targets are going to look like. I don't know if there's going to be dumb torpedoes, like things that are not impacted by the Batwing.
Well, no, there's a difference. Like the smart torpedoes, they look different.
Okay.
And they come from very, very far, and they're fired by those interdictors, and they'll track you no matter where you go.
Okay.
And then they'll explode next to you.
Okay.
So those special torpedoes, that's what the bat ray dissolves. Like regular torpedoes, the ones fired from subs nearby and stuff like that, they're not affected by the bat ray field, but the smart torpedoes fired by the interdictors are.
Okay. So there is more than there's smart and not so smart.
They're not the same. That's what I'm saying. And the smart torpedo will leave cryofuels.
Okay. Okay.
My worry, yeah. That's my worry about how quickly can I get to the interdictor with my flipping razor tails before it becomes such an annoyance that everything's going to then pile on top of me. So
yeah, and that's what I'm wondering. Do I need a tactical insulator on my razor tail even if I'm driving? Because those torpedoes will explode next to me. There's nothing I can do about that. And they're going to leave a cryofuel. So can I dodge that cryofuel, or am I going to have to just move past it and then lose all my acceleration? Because, you know, if I lose 1% of my speed there, I lose the whole accelerate. I think that's what it says in the aura.
Yeah, the 1% means I don't see any way that you can dodge a 1% speed reduction or whatever they call it.
And do I read that right, Jeff? I mean, if I'm affected by a cryofuel and I'm slowed down by that more than 1%, I lose acceleration.
That's the way I've read it, and that's the way I understand it.
Yes, me too.
Okay.
What about shielded circuitry? Wouldn't that work well in there?
Yeah, exactly. So that's my question. Because I was thinking, and by watching Kixeye stream, it's like, oh, if you drive, you can dodge the cryofuels coming from the proto-nemesis because they move slowly towards you, like those mortars, right? You can countermeasure them or you can dodge them. But these smart torpedoes, so the razor tail and the razor tail target, there are no smart torpedoes, there are Reapers. So that's fine, but on the bat ray targets, there's a bunch of smart torpedoes. So if you try to tackle that with the razor tail, these little fuckers will keep exploding and creating cryofuels and pretty much crippling your acceleration ability throughout the battle until you kill the interdictors. That's my understanding.
Okay.
So is the first crew you chuck on one of those speed crews that make you just rush to that thing? Remember in the Hellwave raid when we did that?
Yeah, and of course, they're going to put those interdictors behind every other ship, right? So
Or you marry somebody that's also has, you know, if you get the Batwing, you need to marry somebody that has the razor tail, right? And so they're because the way I see these targets is it's partially related to your the graphic that you presented, Red, is basically like, as an example, you know, a Batwing may take a half an hour of damage on a 100, and it's going to take an hour on a 102.
You know, I might get.
But then the opposite would apply to the razor tail, right? So you're going to take an hour on that one versus a half an hour on the second one. So, am I reading your graphic correctly?
Correct, and I fully agree with what you said. Ideally, every player with one of the two fleets would find a raid partner with the other fleet, And now it's like I'm only going to do razor tail targets with my razor tails, and you're only going to do bat ray targets with your bat rays. And we'll prep for each other.
Yeah, I'm thinking getting the wife to build the other fleet. You know,
That works.
She's level 116. You know what I mean?
But hey,
I build one, she builds the other. You know.
But watch those pirates out there.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's going to be a lot of thievery
The
going.
Imris, the Imris of the world.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They'll have a free raid. They'll just keep going around and stealing everyone's targets.
That is the
You
problem. I mean, no one steals nothing at the moment because I just clean up everything I want, you know. And but of course, if everyone starts prepping for everybody, yeah, it's going to be a free for all out there, isn't it? You know.
There'll be a lot of hate mail going around.
Oh yeah.
Kix will put something in there so you can't prep.
Yeah, all they gotta do is remove the retreat button, and then it becomes time in effect.
Yeah, stuck in there for 15 minutes or so. Yeah.
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 Oops, did I say that out
Or
loud?
half an hour, like in the the other target. The yeah.
I just still prep a few of those and sitting there for 15 or 20 minutes, half an hour for people before when they needed it. You know, like I still sat there and just because I've done what I needed, and I thought, you know what, it's just time. You know, I can go and do something else, and just sit there and
time's out.
time out. Yeah. But it's not something you want to do in a raid, obviously.
No, not in a time constraint format.
With a grease monkey on.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, 3 targets. Yeah.
There's one thing I would like to complain about a little bit. The show is seen as people that complain, but I don't think I've really complained that much. But my ally mate, he's getting his he's gotten twice. He's gotten his mana cores sniped by a level 75.
And you can't hit them back because they're under the level 80.
Yes.
Well,
There's no way to stop it. And
mind you say that even if you hit their base, then they just, that's never worked anyway. You just used to try and
They
take
almost
the dock
want
out.
you to hit their base.
Yeah, you just used to take their dock out, nuke their dock a few times.
Yeah, I don't think that was affected by the new cap on bases, like you guys are saying. I mean, if the guy's gonna have a fleet of subs outside, they don't care if you're hitting their bases. They'll have a bubble. They can still sink your manticores with subs. It's a cheap shot.
I just used to.
But you could still go in. You could still go in, and you can still take out his dock, right?
His dock, his launch pad, and then as many warehouses as you can get.
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah.
Bubbling.
I used to stick a gearheads on a crew, and just like you've got your what's it, Tide Seeker. Tide Seeker gearheads or something like that on a crew. Just spin the Tide Seeker back, whack them. Sink their subs pretty quickly, and they've got a much bigger repair than you. And so many times they want to do that. And I sunk one guy 22 times during a raid in the same way. And
but you realize you can't hit this person back, right? That's what I'm bringing up.
You can hit your subs. You can get your subs. You know what I mean? If you stick a gearheads crew on or something
Well,
like that.
he killed his subs, but he still had 20-some hours of damage associated, or not that would have been. It was like 11 hours and whatever on the fleet that killed the guy that hit him. He killed him.
Yeah.
But he still has 11 hours of damage, right? So what's he supposed to do at this point?
Well, that we was talking about that a couple of weeks ago, is the fact that PvP fleets attacking PvE fleets. PvE fleets are defensive. It's like shooting fish in a barrel, isn't it?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah.
Hefe, don't this guy know anybody who's same level as him? Just to go level him.
What? You can't hit that base because he's less than level 80.
Yeah, but you can if there's a level 70 that can go in him. 75, 79.
Yeah.
Really,
go find somebody else. Yeah, that's too complicated.
All you want to do is go in and nuke his dock and his launch pad and
take out his dock. And, he's out of it.
You can't. If you're level 100 and somebody hits you that's level 70, 72.
Are we talking about
your fleece? We're talking about what?
Are we talking about someone who's in an alliance or someone who's not in an alliance?
It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the fact that
You've got lower players that can help you in alliance. Just say, can you go in at him until he's level 80 and then you go sink him?
I've found most of the snipers have not been in alliances. They've been like solo players that are not really doing the raid.
Or they've
It's
dropped the tag.
they're alts of other players.
Yeah, very likely. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I was sniped this week, just a day before the raid. My Skyfires were sunk by a guy in sector. The guy's in the same sector I am. He's a level 80 something, 87, and he's not in an alliance. And I have no idea why he did it. He did it. Whatever.
It's just a spoilers game. Yeah.
You know, so in my opinion, it's just like, I don't think the bracket has anything to do with that. It does curb your ability to snipe their dock or whatever, or the whole base, you know. But I think it's because when Kixeye created classes, and all of a sudden now the hosts in most of the classes have zero ability to tackle submarines.
Yep.
And then at the same time, you have the PvP hosts with 2 million armor versus PvE hosts that have 80,000 armor.
Yeah.
It just creates such a huge imbalance. I mean, you don't even need subs, honestly. You get any tier 7 PvP conqueror and you go hit a shore fleet. It's game over.
Yeah.
I think
So in my mind, what they got the whole fact that any fleet can hit any fleet in open water, to me, it's a remnant of a game that doesn't exist anymore, and that has to be addressed. I mean, PvE fleets should not be targetable by PvP fleets or by other players at all. If they were made to hit a target, and Kixeye designs them so they're completely ineffective to defend themselves against another player, the answer to me is simple. Other players should not be able to hit your PvE fleets, period.
Can't do that though, Ren, because if they did that, then they'd just put a guard of a PvE fleet on the base, and then you wouldn't be able to get in the base then.
No, I'm just
they
talking
wouldn't be
about
allowed to
open
go.
water. I'm not talking about if somebody wants to use a PvE fleet to hit a base or to defend a base, that's a different thing. But
I completely
PvE
agree.
fleet should not be used to guard the base outside, because that would imply an open water fight. So any sort of open water fight, FVF, should pretty much disqualify PvE classes. That to me is the only solution to the problem they created when they introduced classes.
I think it actually started before that, when they took subs out as if you can't 100% health, you know, without launching it. I think it started then, so they had to give subs something to do. So basically, they made an invisible sub. There you go. There, you can see every fleet on water with Tide Seeker, what you call it, Arlock Tide Seeker, and they just went round having fun hitting fleets.
Yeah.
So I think it helped.
So should we move on to Bat Ray versus Razortail?
Yeah.
Back
How many
in
hours you got?
An hour and 17 minutes. You didn't talk about that yet.
No.
back in the second.
No.
Wow.
No,
I know, Mike.
because I'm keeping it. I want other people to show up as far as. And Mike, are you awake? Mike.
Yep, you would just pick the time when I just stepped away, you know?
Okay, it's all good. But basically, Mike. Mike has the slides from last show, and so basically, we want to see if I think we should have the slides up as far as the stats associated with them if we're going to do this. So I'm going to put Mike up there on there, and we can talk about Mike. Fast forward to the Bat Ray. I think the Bat Ray is the first one.
Should have had a picture of Batgirl on that slide.
Okay. No, but
do I have
you
something
had the
wrong?
Bat Ray.
Can I make a side comment in the meantime?
Okay, go ahead.
Did you guys
Go ahead,
notice
Brandon.
how every time you hit an elite target, you're getting just slightly less than 2.5 million points?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they adjusted something because I hit just 6 targets in a row now, and every single one of them now is paying me slightly more than 2.5 million.
I
Yeah,
said that on the tier 6 earlier on. Yeah.
It's across the board.
Oh, so they did
All the
change.
targets are adding about 10%, or I'm sorry, not 10%, but like 1% above.
Yeah.
What they're advertised at.
The 300k one, the other 65 in tier 6 is actually 369. I think it was.
And making up for the last 5 raids where they stole a few points off everybody.
So did they announce that somewhere? I missed it.
No, they didn't announce it, but they on what's it called?
On the Discord thing, they said they were going to do something.
They said they were going to fix it.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like you said,
So-
5 months later, 5 raids later.
Well, they did that last raid as well, didn't they? They added about 9,000 to.
No, last raid was always a little bit under.
No, I remember it giving me an extra 9,000 in targets. It's not a lot, but you know, it all adds up at the end of the day.
All right. So, what does everybody think about the Bat Ray?
Is ugly.
I mean, there is one thing as far as like the Bat Ray is Forsaken, but the other one is
Legion.
Legion, and so therefore some of these rogue crews they work differently associated with it.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's going to be a huge thing, but it is a little bit of a thing because you can get 15% reload and 50% turn speed associated with it.
Yeah, you're talking about the Salty Dogs crew. You could use a Salty Dog on the Bat Ray and gain 15-15, turn and reload. Won't apply to the Razor tank.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in the first initial raids, because obviously you aren't maybe going to have a full fleet or a fully ranked fleet. Because a lot of people don't, coin their VXP weekends. They get as far as they can for free, and they go, "Well, that's good enough. That will start me off for the first raid series." So
that's me. I usually go in with 50-something% rank, 60 tops.
So as you said,
I'll tell you now. If they offer the tokens to just build the fleet, I'll take the tokens, rank them up, and I've got the fleet for the next 3 months. Yeah, and I'm done with it. You know what I mean? I can concentrate on building other stuff. Just gets it out of the way. I've done that for the last 3 or 4 raids series now. So I had the Bucks from the beginning, I had the Fangs from the beginning, and I've had the Mantis from the first raid. And so I've been able to hit big scores in every raid. You know what I mean? I've not had to worry. It's allowed me to concentrate because I drop off sometimes for a couple of months because of work. So it allows me to catch back up because I can hit big in the raids.
Well, you're a little bit like a Liam 99 who drops off for 3 or 4 months and all of a sudden goes, right, I've got the hull. And he's probably listening to this, so it'll be quite funny. And then they go, right, I'm just going to go and buy the fleet, and he'll spend 300 quid, and then that's it.
Oh no, not to that extent. Not
no,
to
he
that
will. They'll
extent,
just buy
you know
it.
what I mean, yeah.
No.
I mean,
and he'll do everything. He'll spend 500 quid, and they'll go, right, I'm good now for a couple of months.
I think it's about £75 for a load of tokens they give you, which is basically enough to get your fleet out, sort of 75% built before the VXP weekend, and then you can top out the rest of it before the first raid starts. And
I mean, for those individuals, as Ren was saying, I think you can have 3 ships done, and for those individuals that manage to do those TLCs, that you could virtually stack up about 30 if you didn't do prototypes. That was, and you could stack roughly about 35-ish. Generic skirmish tokens as well over a series of events that have happened. That's your last 2 ships. So you are going to have 5 of these ships. If you manage to do that.
I mean, this is the first time do you know what? I didn't stack any skirmish tokens. Normally, I did have a few, but I did a few refits and other things without thinking, like idiot. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden, this raid series seemed to come around a bit too quick again. But I did have a few sitting there.
Well, it is earlier. I mean, we all know it's a week earlier, but this is going to be the norm now. It's going to be the first week of each month. So it will come good next month, but this one, it's sort of like really caught everybody on the hop because it's 1 week this, next week that, next week that sort of stuff. So.
Right on the back of a bounty as well. I mean, it's been hectic,
Well, that was my complaint, on our show is, within this, most people or a lot of people get paid monthly paychecks, and there's 3 events now within the same. You got to decide what you're going to do: feed your kids or play BP.
Yeah, I mean, I'm different to say as I'm self-employed, so I've got to work a lot of weekends. I mean, I've got 2 weddings on next weekend. Fortunately, it's only the VXP weekend, but there'll probably be a lot of TLCs out. But I'm working sort of 12-hour days filming on Saturday and Sunday. I'm glad that wasn't a bounty or a raid week. It has actually fallen all right for me.
Well, there will be a TLC or something out, because they did say in their live stream the other hull will be available in some other type of event before, so something's going to happen.
A TLC I can live with, but if it's a full bounty because if you miss a day of bounty or miss 2 days of bounty, you're out of it.
No, I think we're talking 2 different things. I mean, there's going to be a bounty event this month at some point.
Oh yeah, but it won't be the week after, like VXP.
No. Yeah,
it's
right.
3rd week. Yeah, it's 3rd week of the month. It is.
Yeah, but I think what we're saying is, like, I had 21 of those generic skirmish tokens. I saved them all for this raid when I got them months ago.
Mhm.
And so it's great. I already got my 4 razor tails built.
Normally I do.
Not fully built. The shells with 1 special and 2 weapons, they're all built.
Ren, normally I do that sort of thing. This time I didn't. So like an idiot. So if they offer out tokens to buy, I'll take them just to get them done.
Right. No, I'm saying, like, I have the 4 shells out without spending a penny.
Yeah.
Just doing OTLCs and saving the tokens, which is great. But a lot of players are not in that position. So they're going to have people who are not and are only going to rely on calendar time and FM tokens. TSM said they're only going to get 3 ships out.
Oh yeah.
Unless when they run these TLCs that will let you get the blueprints again, like whatever you're not getting now. Like my case is going to be the bat ray. So I'll do the bat ray TLC for the bat ray. But if I can do the razor tail TLC, and that TLC has tokens, that's how some people will move from having 3 ships done for raid to have the 4th one. It's by depending on how many tokens they offer in that TLC.
Yeah.
Or the absolute 1 per million chance of getting 7+2.
I'm sure FA is going to
You
jump
can't
back
count
in
on
again.
that.
No. My issue right now is George turned the show after. I mean,
I actually just got home and I popped in.
no.
Hold on. I just popped in to let. I just wanted to pop in and let everyone know that if you claimed either one of the 2 hulls, the major hulls after the raid, you guys are going to get a free hull from Kixeye. FYI.
How'd you find that out?
Just pop in. It should be posted on the forum now.
That's true.
So we already had to do it, or we can do it now.
No, you'll get it. You'll get it right after the raid. It's I think the day after claiming is over or something. You get
Naked
a
or
free
fully
hull.
built?
Naked. Should be naked, I think.
Is that also a same hull or the next
This,
hull?
no, the hull that you choose. So if you chose the razor tail, you're going to get a free razor tail. If you chose a bat ray, you're going to get a free bat ray.
I don't know if I'm happy or mad because I have my 4 ships out already.
It's on the general tab.
Well, then you're going to get the 5th one.
It says, congratulations, you get a free blank hull of whichever ship you've claimed within 48 hours of the event ending. Customize however you see fit. Have a blast. Yep. I'm just on the forums now.
So, I figured I'd pop in because I got home. I just brought one of the kids home and I'm trying to stop cooking dinner and stuff, but I got that message and I was like, I gotta pop in and kind of share that. So,
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I mean, I'm gonna try and get back on. But I gotta eat and I gotta feed kids and stuff. So
George dropped in like Santa Claus now.
But it says within 48 hours. So the raid ends Wednesday for me, 9 o'clock.
So you probably get it by Friday or Saturday, something like that.
Yeah, which the VXP weekend would have already started. But it says within.
It should be within. Yeah, it should still be within.
If it's within
VXP should
48
still be
hours,
going.
yeah, it'll be all right. Yeah.
So, all right, y'all have a good night. I'll try and get back on later on, maybe for the after show or something. But have a good evening, everybody.
Yeah, George.
Good night.
Night, George.
Okay, well that cuts out one hole.
Yeah,
Mm,
pisses me off a
let's
bit
use
because I
it.
spent 3 days of tokens to get the 4.
Yeah, there's a bit of an exclusive information for you, sure, Hefe.
But it's good
What?
news.
It's on the forums. I've just had a look at it. So it's it got posted up. Hang on a minute. Created yesterday, edited at 1:17 a.m. So literally, it's been on 8 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just going to drop this onto my Alliance page now. Let them know.
Ren, my guess is if you ticket that thing, they'll give you one back.
Yeah, that's what I expect then, because I don't need 5 ships.
See, I was going to do the other way. Wait till the end and then start using those tokens. Just doesn't matter, I guess.
See, I think I might. Yeah, I don't know. Depends on the cav field. What's the rise time of 4 ships compared to what's the rise time of 5 ships? Because I still might do a 5th ship, but I have a real hardly any weapons on it to see if it brings things up better. I don't know. Or is it better just to use one of the,
Well, yeah, you could leave the empty shell in the corner because that plus 36% has no range.
No, it's generic, isn't it? So I can just use a micro and just drive the 4 because I'll be basically blitzing anyway, and leave the other one in the corner, just an empty shell doing nothing.
Yeah, you put that ship, let's say, empty shell in slot number 5, and you press up arrow, then shift 5 to deselect it, and you drive the other 4.
And drive away the rest, yeah. Yeah, because it's cost me no more, and getting out 4 is quite easy. So
Who could be? I mean, use that as a placeholder. Then when you get the flagship, you delete.
Or you could be really sneaky, and if you're those people that are getting the bat ray, you could get the razor tail single one and then truck that in the corner, drive your 4, and then you've got, a bit of effect there for a cav as well.
I think it only gives you the free one of the ones you've selected, doesn't it?
Yeah, it would do, wouldn't it? Yeah, logically it says it. Yeah, it would do. Hang on, so you get a free blank hole if you've claimed. Yeah, so it doesn't say the same, but I take it you're right. Yeah, it wouldn't give you the one because that gives you the blueprint, which means you can build them all. So yeah. Yeah, interesting.
It would have been nice if they'd give you opposite one, but I don't think
they're not going to do that yet, mate. They want us to do the event that's coming up and that sort of stuff. Otherwise, yeah.
It still makes you choose, though, doesn't it? What you want to build first.
You can't have 2 Christmases in once. It's not fair.
Exactly. Can't do that from Pixar.
You're expecting too much now. Anyway.
Well, that's why I asked the question, really, because it wasn't too clear on there that it were opposite. When George came on, it wasn't too clear on here that it were the opposite ship or the real ship. That's why I asked him. It's the one that you win that he says you get.
I mean, I'm thinking here about having 5 of the same. I mean, maybe it's an idea because God knows how long the flagship's going to take to build. I mean, remember those flagships that took like twice as long as the regular ships?
Yeah.
I mean, for you guys, it's a silly choice, really. You've only got a battery to get because you'll be doing the big targets, which I presume will have the large torpedoes in, where the A set and B set might have medium torpedoes in, and the lower level targets might have the small torpedo in. So I don't know. If they haven't got no torpedoes in them, the smart torpedoes, then the razor tail might work in lower level targets.
Oh, I think they will have some. I can't see them giving us nothing.
Well, then you're going to need the bat ray anyway, because
there's no free lunch in this game ever, is there? Saying that, we just got a ship. So we just got 3.5 days worth.
The other hull doesn't do the ECM, though, does it? The anti-torpedo?
No.
So then you're going to get more damage using that hull in any target.
But that's the concept, mate. Whether we like it or not, I think the lower set will probably have then a mix of the two and that sort of stuff potentially. They're going to make sure that the damage across the target sets are even, whichever hole you pick. So, they've already said it. I mean, let's not be honest.
Yeah.
Well, let's be honest. Like they've been up front and they've said, doesn't matter whether you go this ship or that ship.
Yeah,
look for the style of driving you're going to do, because they will end up having the same amount of damage when you've done a complete set, whether it be the tier 8, tier 7, tier 6.
let's play devil's advocate, right? And we don't go for Battery, we go for Razortail, or you can't even get to Battery or Razortail. If you're going to be using Fangtooths or Hunters in the small level targets, then torpedoes are going to kick your ass. So they're going to be no good using even last year.
Unless they're only impacting on a tier 7 hull, and they have no impact on a lower one.
When you look at the video, I mean, they look kind of a lot of like the previous Scourge targets, except they're Draconian. But I mean, those Proto-Nemesis are just like what the Gluttonies were doing, the Scourge targets, right? So depending on the range, I'm assuming that if you're driving Fangteeth, you're just going to drive, and their torpedoes will be only very short range. So if you can outspeed and outrun them, you're only going to be taking those rocket fires on your Fangteeth, and then they're going to damage you little by little. You know, I'm assuming Fangteeth and Hunters will be able to do 60s comfortably.
Yeah.
Right? And didn't they say that the Prototype Seekers may do the 80s, like, to an extent? Which means Prototype Seekers should do really well on the 60s, like really well, and do the 80s somewhat.
Yeah, and
right,
like,
but the Fangs and the Hunters will not do the 80s; they'll do the 60s.
Right. I can't see him with him having the smart torpedoes in. I can see him still getting damaged no matter what you're taking, no, apart from battery.
But maybe low-level targets won't have the smart torpedoes. That's what I'm saying. I mean, if that's the only thing, bingo. You know, like low-level targets don't have the smart torpedoes, don't have the Reapers that are slow to surface. They just have the other ships.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah. Well, that's what I was on about earlier with small torpedo. I would have thought the small torpedo were going to be in at least the B set.
Could be, but all they're going to do, the small torpedoes, the small smart torpedoes, it's the cryofuel.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Didn't they say the smart torpedoes would do no damage, though?
On their stream, they said the small and medium do no damage, but the large does damage. But the large would be only in the elite sets.
Yeah.
Okay.
I presume with there being 3, the large will be in the elite sets, the medium will be in the A set, and the small ones will be in the B sets. And probably they might leave the single one target C set alone.
Can you remember back many years ago when you go into a raid set and you had no idea what was coming, nothing at all? There was no hints, there was no anything at all, and then we had Swacky to come on and go, right, here we go, here's a raid video, and they were great fun, that sort of stuff. And now we're right at that stage where we're completely opposite way around. You know, a little bit of knowledge is damaging sometimes, you know, and now we've got like many tinfoil hats on, all of us going, well, it could be this, could be that, could be this, could be that. And it's quite amusing in some respects, but not amusing in other respects, because, you know, you could influence somebody, could go down an avenue that ends up being the wrong direction, and then they've got to take off. There's something worse than, you know, like the Manticores having to refit them 5 or 6 times because they 1 minute countermeasures work and then they don't work, and then they change them halfway through a raid series and they do work and then they don't work again. And, you know, it's crazy, isn't it?
Buyer's remorse, isn't it? You know, you just think that you're going to pick the wrong fleet.
Yeah, but I think they're honestly making an effort, so there's no wrong fleet.
Yeah.
There's just like, which one do you like the best? And let's say they're successful, because that's a big if. I don't doubt their intention. I doubt their ability to execute, because that's what we've seen in the past. It's like they come with these great ideas and they explain the vision and the roadmap and the idea, and it's great. And then 3 months later, everybody's frustrated because the execution is nothing like what they explained at the beginning. Right? That's my impression, at least. I don't know. So I just hope they execute it well. But I think their intention that both fleets will be equivalents. They're not trying to be shady here. It's just like, are they going to be able to deliver? If they are, there's no wrong fleet.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was TSM that said earlier, the only buyer's remorse thing could kick in later is when these targets eventually go out on the map and become our uranium targets, where they're going to be. Have we then picked the right fleet? You know, are they going to put the whatever it be, the 112 or the 114?
Well,
And have we got the right fleet?
By the time these go on map, you'll have both hulls anyway. You might not have both hulls as a full fleet, but you will have both hulls.
You know, we don't want to build both fleets, do we? Surely,
No.
you know.
Close the way.
You know, I mean, you know, how much space have we got in? How many hulls can we hold? You know.
Yeah.
I'm sick of building them.
Yeah. You know.
Well, at one time it used to be build and scrap, didn't it? It's only a couple of years after the game started when they started bringing out you could refit them.
I'm sick of building 2 fleets for everything, every raid series, and you know, and then the amount of bleeding conqueror hulls I've got, and you know, a defender hulls. Christ, you know, it's just crazy.
I don't build every hull I get.
Well, no, I haven't built every one, but I mean, I've built a bloody lot of them, and I've scrapped thousands of pounds worth of them. I would have thought, you know.
I mean, like the Ifrit, I never built it. I got it, but I never built it. I personally don't see a use for it for my style of play.
It must really annoy you guys though who are actually coining fleets, like someone who spent $500 on a fleet and then a couple of months later have to scrap it. It must really make you sick.
Yeah, I don't build many conquerors because I don't spend money, right, on this conqueror stuff.
I've got about 6 ships. That's it.
But the Ifrit, to me, it's a good companion to the Witch Doctor, because my Witch Doctor at least suffers a lot from radioactive turrets.
Yeah, I've got an Ifrit, a couple of Witch Doctors. Actually, the 3rd Witch Doctor is still cooking. It's got actually about a day left. But, you know, I normally throw them in with mortars, like most people have been doing. You know.
Yeah, but there's the other issue as far as like you don't want to build them, but I don't want to put armor on them until I know what the armor is going to be.
Yeah.
Because right now, I think most players that play PvP, I'm not one of them, but I like to defend against PvP.
Yeah.
And what's our next step? Well,
I mean, let's be honest. Most of the PvP players, including myself, now have refitted our bases, and only a few good players was getting in my base before. Hopefully now, I wouldn't expect anyone to get in. You know, not at the moment.
No, and it's weird. It's weird. I mean, we've had these surveys, right? You know, asking the players as far as what they think about the game and whatnot, and they've completely cock-blocked PvP, right?
For base shooting at the moment, yeah, it's died a death on the big.
It's impossible. It's impossible.
Yeah.
But
what I'm saying is the reply they got from the players is, we don't care about PvP. At least that's the way I read it.
But it wrecks bounty as well.
I was very vocal back when they put that Poseidon's Vanguard in FM. I think it was that one. And then they had the Defender as a top bounty prize. And I'm like, guys, you're doing it, you know, the other way around. You're doing it all wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a much, much bigger percentage of your player base cares about defending than cares about having this very niche flagship for attacking.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
So if anything, you get all the Conqueror stuff and you put that in bounty, but all the Defender and Turret and whatnot should be broadly available.
I think not everyone hits bases, but most people want to defend their base.
Exactly. So you got to make the defense technology broadly available.
Yeah.
Versus the attack.
Make it available versus TFCs, the raid. You know, not because the next Defender Hall is going to come out during bounty.
Mm-hmm.
I think they should put at least one turret of each in the FM.
Well, they've been doing that, right? Every week now we have like 2 turrets. I mean, last was what? The Death Scythe or whatever. That's kind of useless, but there was another one. They've been putting out turrets in FM, which I think is the right thing to do. I don't know if my little rant to them had a role in that or not. I have no idea, but they did it.
Yeah.
Twice now they put different turrets in there. I think at least 4 different turrets showed up in FM. You know,
Yeah,
I think that's good. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I mean,
No,
I've
no, I
I've said to
agree,
the
but
guys.
as far as- Go ahead.
Sorry, I've said to the guys in my alliance, you know, just pick up the turrets, pick up everything you can get, because when Op 11 comes out, if you've got the options, then you know hopefully you should be golden. You know, like you can work your base because you'll have enough turrets hopefully to work out a good design to stop 95% of the best players. You know, or more.
And
Yeah.
how
And even
upset are
if
people?
plan? I think sometimes people don't plan, and it's just like, oh, okay, it's in FM, and there you can redeem 2 death sites in FM, which is a lot easier than scoring raid points for mid-level guys or guys catching up. So get those 2 turrets, even if they're useless on their own merit. But now you have 2 to help you on the bonus. So if you get your raid now and you can get only 1 turret, you get a really good one, the other corrosive turret too, the one that 191 rage, right? That's one's killing a lot of people. And now those useless turrets will be buffing the damage of that guy. So you got a plan, right? So if you see something in FM, get it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the game has so many swings. Let's say if you've got all the turrets, then as you know, you can go and get base parts and virtually refit a base in a day if you can get the parts. You know, you can change all your turrets around, or 8, 10, as if you said 20 in a day. You know, you can completely redo your base if they suddenly bring out a new armor or a new this. You can think, all right, I'll swing it, I'll change it another way. You know. But you've got to have them turrets there in the first place to allow you to do that, you know.
They've also got to make them available, like Ren says, they started putting them in FM, which is a really good thing, because the PvE player at the moment, they're saying giving the most money to this game, so they should be available to PvE players as well.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see any stats on how well the last bounty went, but I did okay on it. I got what I needed anyway, you know. Some bases I avoided, obviously. I actually went for the ones because I was using a couple of the witch doctors and mortars, and I just avoided the old bases. You know, and I went for all the high level ones that had the new turrets in, and I was okay. You know, I was getting right with them and picking up good points. You know, because the witch doctors work better in the higher level bases than they did in most of the mid or low levels.
Were you using bus sloth and witch doctors, or just?
Yep, bus sloth witch doctors. Yeah, and they seem to work better in the high level bases. Of course, not now everyone's refitted with the new turrets, but for the last bounty, they worked really well, you know.
That's just it, though, isn't it? They're going to be upgrading them bases on the day of the bounty, so everybody who's got them corrosive turrets are now going to have them in bounty to hit.
Well, I mean, the ones. What are we looking at here? Let's have a look.
Bounty's just going to get harder and harder and harder, isn't it, as they bring out the better and bigger and better stuff for us.
Well, I was all right with corrosive. That's when I had no problem. But now, of course, everyone's putting the radioactives and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah, and corrosive turrets and concussive turrets.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the concussive I'm going to pick up, obviously. And but, of course, there's only so many turrets we can put in our bases at the moment. But when we get up 11, they'll normally throw a few more turrets platforms at us.
They're level, isn't they? But I don't know whether they'll do that this time. And some land as well, normally.
Yeah, that's it. So everything's going to get bigger, and you know, and they normally throw a few more turret platforms at us. So that's what I said. If you've got the turrets, you've got the options. You know.
Don't forget Effie's favourite thing, the walls.
But then we'll get more walls, another 100 walls.
Yeah, I've got the Mexicans to pay for mine.
Something happened. I mean, you know, George hasn't been around because he wrote that, New York Times post, the op-ed piece. Yeah, he hasn't been around too much, right?
You still want to look at the bat here?
Oh, more good news. I don't know if you guys knew that, but they raised the EMP overload limit to 5. So if you had 3, you can now claim 2.
Ah, good.
Yeah.
That new
Yeah.
news or old news?
Yeah, but you can't. I mean, I put it on our page, but and some people goes, no, you can't. It's only 3. No, you can only get 3 in this raid, but you can hold 5 in total.
No, yeah, because when the raid started, you could only hold 3 in total. So I was not able to claim any.
But
What
now you
they
can get 2.
changed now is the total limit you can have in stock are 5.
I see what I was working the bounty 2 raids ago when that EPM overload come out. All I managed to pick up was 2 EPM overloads and 1. Let's have a look.
It's still not enough EMP.
And 1 cold snap turret. Do you know what? And that worked all right for me. Those EPM overloads. I stuck 1 in the Guile Fleet and 1 on Witch Doctor. And for a while I was doing well with them.
Okay. Can anyone else share the new post from CM Chris, or should I do it? I didn't even know what it means. It's
the
like,
Discord thing.
Yeah, the Discord thing is. Like,
Yes. So basically, a little bit like you're going into forums and you've done lots of posts and that sort of stuff, and it gives you a rank.
Yes.
It's the same sort of thing, basically.
Yeah.
That's all it is. So the Discord thing that they brought up, obviously, which is not going to be voice chat, which I can sort of understand. So they're finding another way. A lot of people use Discord for various different games, that sort of stuff. So
we've got Discord chat for the Alliance.
yeah. So the Kickstarter have decided to do their own Discord channel. People are using it. So far it's actually pretty, arsehole free. But what they said in there basically,
I'm on there though, right? You realize that, right?
Yeah, I know you're on there, mate.
I actually have something to say about that.
Sorry, go ahead.
I like the Discord because I'm having an issue with the ticket right now that was marked closed, and I never got an answer or anything. And that Corby or Corbin or whatever got it resolved right away.
Yeah, they've got CMs in there. They've got one of everything in there, to be honest.
Yeah, and I like it. And that's one thing Kix has done with this new team is the communication is so much better.
Mm-hmm.
Be careful.
I must admit, the Discord chat on my Alliance is interesting.
You're right. This team communicates multiple times better than the team that was there before.
Yeah.
Whether the previous team were allowed to communicate, like this team are now allowed to communicate, that's something we'll never know.
Right.
I'm not defending them, I'm just saying.
It's irrelevant. I'm not saying those individuals were avoiding us. I'm just saying this team communicates a lot more than the previous team. Is that a change in direction? Most likely. Because I don't think the other guys were against talking to us. They were not allowed to talk to us, probably. Whatever. Changing team in management, the bottom line is these guys are communicating. We have that next week in BP, next month in BP. Wrong Thinker Thinks and streams and now Discord. I mean, it's amazing compared to
flip back, Ren, to when we last had his very last time that GDR appeared on our show. Look at the frustration on his face and look at what he wasn't allowed to say and that sort of stuff. He was definitely, handcuffed without a doubt. Because I said to him, like, can you mention this? He went, can't say that. Can you do this? I said, well, to be honest, mate, why are you here? Why have you come on the show? Because all the things that we want to know, you can't even tell us because you've been told you not to.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like earth-breaking stuff. It's not gonna. It was just like, no, it can't go in that area. No, it can't go in that area. Well, you're not telling me anything. We can't just read on the forums. So why are you here even? And he was like, yeah, exactly. But so it's not necessarily the new people, but there is definitely a new direction.
So obviously it's not live chat there. They're just using the text part of it, yeah?
Yeah, there's no voice.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But so going back to what obviously Hefe was saying about then basically the more positive comments you've got in there and that sort of stuff, and the more you get used to use it and that sort of stuff, then there's a ranking system basically. So I imagine that if you're a person then that has a lot of your comments that get to stay in there, and you go up a rank and that sort of stuff. And I suppose people will look at it and go, well, actually, he's not a greenhorn, he's an XYZ. So obviously his comments mean something, I suppose. I'm guessing that sort of
It's
thing.
the new medal system.
Well, possibly, yeah. It doesn't work in forums, though, because does anybody ever look at what person's grade is if they write something? Because they just write something, don't they? So,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like it, dislike it, what difference does it make, you know? If something's in a forum post, I'll read it. I'll either scan it,
I can
read
get-
it, acknowledge it,
I can
forward
get
it on.
Discord medals and go, yeah, high ranking.
Yeah.
But all jokes aside, anyway, guys, I think we should get back to the actual ships.
Yeah.
You know, because we was, I think it was at the Razor Tower or whatever.
Is this like an episode of Ronnie Corbett or something like that, where we go for down tangents and if you know
We've
who he
gone,
is?
we've gone some massive tangents again, haven't we? You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know. I just,
I took the razor tail, and I have no clue why I did it.
as I said earlier, I think I'm going to take the Razor Tail and get the wife to take the Bat Ray, and we'll see what happens. You know what I mean? One of us has got it right, or maybe we both got it right or wrong. You know.
I still think that people who will play from the app or go autopilot, I still think the Bat Ray is the best choice for that. Because when you're autoing, the ships, they stop a lot. So that means that whole acceleration capability becomes sort of useless.
Yeah.
And to me, it's a clue that the acceleration in the Bat Ray is only 20%, and on the Razor Tail is 40, meaning it's more important to the Razor Tail to accelerate than to the Bat Ray.
Gotcha.
So that's one thing. The other thing is range. The Bat Ray has longer range, and on auto, that makes a difference because you're going to be a sitting duck. So the earlier you can start firing, the better.
Yeah.
Right? And you don't have to rely on the subs staying in your cavitation field for them to come up for you to kill, because the death charge on the Bat Ray hits underwater anyways.
Yeah, but you've got to allow for the wind-up period as well.
Which you don't wind up on damage. Bottom line, I just think because of the longer range in the aura, the ability to kill the smart torpedoes, and the lower reliance on acceleration, seems to me like a better option for autopilot, a less risky option.
I disagree. To my mind, the Razor Fin's the auto option. It's the Blitz option. It's rockets. Kickside stereotypically allow people to use rockets. You take damage, but you dish out massive damage.
I would agree with you, but the fact is that I don't, because the resistances on the two ships are identical. They're flipped over, but identical.
Yeah, but we don't know what the resistances are actually going to mean till we see what happens to it. I've got a feeling that either target's going to be the Razor Fin target is going to have the ships in there are going to be having higher concussive defense, and vice versa in the other. That's how the offset's going to occur. Otherwise, why would you not put longer range weapons on the Razor Fin, etc.?
Oh, well, I mean, if you're thinking explosive weapons, there's no longer range explosive weapons you can put on it.
No, there's
the only bonus it has in terms of damage is through explosive.
My point is, right, that the Razor Fin is a high. It dishes out much higher damage initially. The Alpha Strike is higher from it, yeah, because it doesn't have to wind up, so it has to get in there quicker to deliver it. And then once it's delivered, it's killing more stuff.
It kills stuff faster. You're right. I mean, things will get closer to it before it starts firing, so you're going to take more fire. But once you start firing, you kill stuff faster, as long as they're surfaced. Exactly,
and any jiggery pokery and how the fleets move with the other hull, your wind up on the concussive weapon is going to decrease, isn't it?
That's my worry.
Yeah.
That the targets spread out in a particular one of these targets, that by the time you get to the other ships, the wind downs happened, and then a good percentage of it's happened, and then you're going to have to wind back up again. And while you're winding back up again, you're taking more incoming. And we don't know because we've not seen the full targets. So I might be wrong, I might be right. We don't know because yet again we're in the tinfoil hat mode of it might be better to go this way, or it might be better to go that way.
Yeah, if it's like the Scourge targets where the enemy ships are in clusters, it all depends how far apart the clusters are. If it takes you over 6 seconds to get from cluster A to B, you're right. Then in 6 seconds, you're completely wound down.
Yeah.
Right? If it takes 3 seconds, you're only halfway. And then to pick up again to max damage is quick.
But your max damage is still much lower than the rocket fleet, isn't it?
But your range is longer. So again, what is the difference? I mean, the fact you start firing at 93 versus 68, that 30 difference there, 25,
the speed,
how much of a difference that is?
The closing speed's also slower.
The close what?
The closing speed with the enemy is also slower.
No.
Yeah, the razor fin accelerates faster, doesn't it?
Assuming it accelerates enough on auto, that's what we don't know. I mean,
yeah,
because you can control. You don't know how often it's going to be hitting cryofields and losing the acceleration.
I mean, I'm not against auto as a principle. I understand the necessity for it and the overload of.
I understand the concept. There's no necessity, but I understand the concept.
Yeah, but whether there is a necessity for those that are out doing long hours and they come back and they've got 2 hours of play time. They've got.
Oh, I see your point. Yeah, that necessity as opposed to
a lot of stuff to do.
Yeah,
you know, so they ram a load of fleets out and they're all in all sorts of things, doing all sorts of stuff, which leads us to the other point of fleets getting sniped. You know, fleets wouldn't be getting sniped if people didn't have to cram in all that stuff as much and they weren't able to micromanage better. But yeah, I don't like the concept of designing the potential for auto in. In my mind, auto was a thing that the players invented that started with the cargoes back in the day. I've designed a ship that can do this
on auto.
Yeah, and it's
auto. Yes, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
well,
players
now it's been adapted by Kixeye to cover the word blitz.
Mask the word, yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Red.
Yeah, I think there's skill on blitz. You know, that's what the last few raids have been.
Well, blitzing is different than autoing, isn't it? Because blitzing, you're actually just charging, consciously charging, and auto, it's the start-stop of the AI that you don't control.
But there hasn't been really an auto hull in this raid series, last 5 raids. You know what I mean?
It is confusing, at least in my mind, as far as like they introduced the Android or the phone app.
But I've never autoed a hull. I've never autoed. I've always
but I'm saying it's confusing to the player base as far as they've introduced this phone app that provides the ability to auto stuff.
I mean, auto Mac.
It's great, by the way. If I'm at work and I can open the app on the phone and just send it over collecting titanium, the Skyfires or the Hunters on uranium, and by the time I get home and actually sit to play, I don't need to do those chores.
Oh yeah. I'm also in them with Skyfires. Don't get me wrong, but during a raid, I don't consider any hull to be an auto hull.
Ren, there's nothing good about that at all, mate, because the problem is there's too much to do. Yeah, the solution isn't give me an app that allows me to use more of my time when I'm at work to resolve the fact that there's too much to do.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure I agree with that.
Agreeing with you there. I'm in full agreement with you there.
With the base
to do for useless stuff.
The base issue is there's too much to do.
Yep.
Yeah. The solution that they've come up with is the app. To accept it rules out anybody who hasn't got the ability. There's people that work in places where they're not allowed to take phones in, etc. You know, all that malarkey going on.
I have to turn my phone off when I'm working. I'm filming. I can't have my phone ringing halfway through somebody's speech or through the I do's. You know what I mean?
Not everybody is working.
For years, people were playing on Puffy on their mobile phones because they're truck drivers or something like that, and that's how they can play during the week. So it's again, that's not an issue where the community will come to the same position. To some people, it's no advantage. To some other people, it's great. It depends on what you do for a living.
It's not a solution to the problem of too much to do.
Agreed. It's not a solution to that problem, but it is a good solution if I want to open it at 2 p.m. at the office and start repairs on another fleet instead of waiting 3-4 more hours.
This is consistent with what Kicks I have done. Is they've thrown out a solution that the community or parts of the community have accepted and said that's a great idea, but it hasn't solved anything. As far back as the 115s, etc., when people were shouting about the fact that there was the wrong kind of fleet in the target, we all adapted to that. What was missed and what we all shouted about initially, but we ended up making a noise about the fleet, was the amount of time the target took to actually play and how long it then took us to do the FM. That has exponentially increased, and they've changed the shit. Brilliant. But they've managed to draw us into more and more time. And we're not solving the core problems that are then knocking on to everything else in the game.
Well, we need different fleets for every different...
Well, it doesn't matter what fleet you need. It's still all time-based. The whole game's time-based. So it's the amount of time it takes to do a target, to collect everything, to build it.
Uranium, titanium, base parts, different fleets. You need different fleets, different, everything, isn't it? Everything you do. I mean, and again, that's why it said, 2 fleets for everything, and who wants to build 2 fleets for this raid? But then again, you think, well, have I got the right one? Because when eventually these targets from the next raid series become maybe the uranium targets, whoever they're going to be, did I build the right one? Did I
choose wisely, mister?
So anyway, razor tail or battery?
Yeah. I mean, should we get into that? Mike, do you want to show the blueprints for that at this point?
Yeah, I gotta get things set back up again. Hold on a second.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's a weird decision because we don't have a lot of information. I don't think because I'm not somebody that's in the previews, and I like I said earlier, I went through all that and I was like,
I would call that.
we never saw the highlights of any of these ships because none of these ships were ranked, and they never showed us the good parts of these hulls. They need to show us how these hulls work well, and they never did that. At least in my opinion. Has anybody else spent hours looking at, or an hour looking at that whole thing?
No, but one thing I did notice when they first did the announcement on them, where they showed the blueprint, it showed a 4-hour base repair time for a naked hull. It has changed to a 3-hour.
Yeah, which that's good information. They changed that, but it's still fucked up. I mean, it's because prior to this, we had. I don't even want to get into all this because it makes me salty. Before we had things like we had charge armor, number one, which didn't have any repair time.
Right.
Number one. And then there's so many issues associated with this. I'm sorry. I'm going to get salty about this, so I'm not sure I'm going to talk about this.
Is it up?
Yes, Mike.
You kind of knew before which ship was going to be the skill hull and which ship was going to be maybe the blitz hull. Now we don't. really. You know,
Now they're both.
yeah,
They're both basically.
yeah. You know,
Mhm.
And
And
not
I feel-
only that, they're both, and the way you build will change depending on whether you primarily will auto or drive.
yeah. I feel like I'm in Covent Garden when I see the guy with the 3 cups and the ball. You know, and whichever one I pick is going to be the wrong one.
No, I'm not. I think Renato's saying something different.
Yeah.
Is the fact that you can
Yeah, you can
when
tailor
you
it.
build the hull is
can
going to
tailor it to what
change how it works versus auto versus skill. You know, if you throw a lot of countermeasures on something, then it becomes a auto hull.
Yeah, but they both
if you
have
put a
slightly
lot of
different
offensive
attributes.
weapons on it, then it's a
Yeah,
different thing.
I'll give a simple example. I mean, how often do you see your ships going on auto and then they split?
Yeah.
Right? So if I'm planning to auto, what I do is I spread the countermeasures across all ships just in case they split.
I mean, I never plan to auto, not in a raid.
It's okay, that's you, but a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm just saying, if I plan to, I spread the countermeasures. If I plan on driving, I'd much rather put all the countermeasures on one ship or 2 most. And then on the other ships, I put all weapons and I put specials to amplify those weapons. And I get a higher DPS, right? But then I got to make sure they stick together. So I got to drive.
Yeah.
So it changes. That's what I'm saying. It just changes the way you do it.
But as a community, should we even be accepting auto as an option? I mean, I'm not saying people shouldn't do it, and I understand the necessity of it, but we're game players. We should be having targets to play. The option for autoing and paying extra and blitzing and all that kind of stuff is for those that are time poor and coin rich. Those that want to actually entertain themselves want entertaining targets with a challenge. And I was just saying to my alliance tonight, you know, there's no motivation for me because once I've got the optimum build, I'm still getting damage. So I you know, as was said on TSM's stream, I do as many targets as I can, put it on slow repair, rather than beforehand. I would play the game, and if I took a bit of damage, I'd be like, "Oh, I'm pissed at that." Right, I'll spend a couple of coins and see if I can do it for free.
That takes you right back to the Hellwraith one, mate, doesn't it? Right back to that.
Yeah, I've got no option to challenge myself to try and get it for free. I'm getting no reward for having put the time in to have earned the tech, built the tech, have it ready. I'm still getting damage.
Yeah,
I don't mind if the skill level's high.
there's no
for me to
reward
get
for
it.
skill or for good driving. Because
Yeah,
you're going to get damage.
I should be getting the option with time and effort, having put it in beforehand, to play the game and drive with tactics and skill and the ability to use rockets and all the rest of it, and crews, all these things that have gone by the wayside.
That's what I said. With the Cannoneers.
Not just, it's got to be skulled. It's got to have an elite crew on, and then it's acceptable to be taking two coin per damage. I want to be able to try and get it down to 0 coin.
Well, the Cannoneers and the Fangs, you could virtually do the raid for nothing if you could drive. You know, with the Cannoneers and the Fangs, you could virtually do the raid for it's such a low amount. You took a damage if you made a mistake, yeah. But I mean, you could get your raid for so cheap and virtually free. There's been no chance this series for me, so I just gave up and smashed it. And I'm kind of thinking that's going to be the next 3 months as well. You know, so I'm just resigned to that.
And I agree with you because I think that's the way they're going to do it. That's because the players have accepted that. The fact that we can't do it. No matter how much time we spend, as far as
or how good you can drive,
something and trying to do the best that we can.
It's not like trying to pick the skill hole and think, you know what, if the targets take me a little bit longer, but I can get it right down. I can, and it's like you're still going to take damage in the other one. You know,
Mhm.
so there's very little reward for actually being able to drive to some extent. It's like you're going to go in the other one and get whaps anyway. You know what I mean?
But you heard me fighting George as far as the
Yeah.
auto haul, right? Because I don't like the auto haul idea. I don't like the, that we can auto stuff, because then it puts it next to what? It puts it next to people driving. And I don't like that. I mean, I think that
I think you said better. You said it becomes Mafia Wars.
I think in a raid, like you should drive. You know what I mean? 'Cause it's a time that you should work. Also in the chore fleets during the week, because nobody wants to do all these chores. You know, that's fine. But in a raid, you expect to drive. You know.
I would actually expect to have a lot of chores. That's what would be ideal to me. But
that's the point I was making. Autoing shouldn't be anything Kixeye is monetizing. That's a player's choice. And a lot of it's been taken away by the restrictions on design and ingenuity.
Yeah, if you want to drive and can drive, you should be able to do it for very low, if not free.
So there should be the option to drive a hull and blitz with a hull.
Yeah.
Autoing is something that should be left to the players with their own intelligence, design, and wit, and cleverness, and all the rest of it, to come up with an option that they feel is cost effective and time effective for them to auto it. And in reality, if you look back, as I said before, if you look back as to what players classed as autoing, it meant you'd got to the point where you'd accrued the technology and designed a ship that allowed you to go and hit a target for free.
Yeah. I used to have 10 fleets out on the map getting ris.
That has been cleaned out. That's a target that we can't achieve and players can't achieve, and that lessens the game because people feel they've achieved something by that.
Yeah, no, I completely understand what you're saying, but I think that was part of, like, a big part of the game that we used to play. Not autoing it, but as far as driving it, we put the right design together, and then we drove it that way. And then
but it was also a game option to do or not to do PvE at all, because you could choose to go and smash mines and salvages and whatever to get your resources, or you could choose to go and hit other bases and steal from other people, be a pirate. Nowadays, when I propose to other people that I would like to see the game go back to those origins where I can get every single resource I can need in the game from stealing from other bases, people look at me like I'm an alien. I'm like, I wish I could steal uranium, titanium base parts, so I don't need to do the chores.
Yeah, but Ren, you'll
forget. People look at me like I'm an alien when I say that. So I literally gave up on that many months ago. I don't talk about that anymore. It's the first time in many months I'm talking about that.
Oh no, I understand that, and to me, I think it's okay because I can get all those. But we've got a lot of guys in our alliance that can't get all the that still struggle to get uranium and titanium or even base parts. Base parts more so, I think, to some of them. So if they were getting stolen, that would really hamper their progress.
So then we stuck with chores. I mean, you can have the cake and eat it too. Either we have a way of stealing from other players, or we gotta do PvE and hit chores. That's it.
Ren, when the game started, you couldn't hit bases. It was about hitting fleets. Remember, it's about battle pirates. And in all the history of pirates, they're not renowned for the land actions. Yeah, they're not renowned.
Yeah,
but now you want to
it wasn't about hitting bases, but yeah,
the game has been like that for 7+ years with base hitting. I don't think it's worth having that conversation.
If you're talking about history and where it came from, that's where it started. It didn't start with bases. You were hitting other people's fleets and robbing their mines and all the rest of it.
He is correct. I mean, that part of the game at that point in time, I thought was like, wow, this game is still going to survive. I couldn't believe. I mean, because Renato was part of that with me, as far as like the game was so fucked up at the beginning. If anybody remembers, it was awful. I mean, basically, you went to a mine and you had to sit for like 24 hours to fill up
on one resource, and you had to fill up on 4.
Exactly. And then somebody would come and hit you, and you had to be sitting right there in order to defend your fleet, because otherwise, if it was driven automatically, yeah, you were going to get owned.
It was more than that. I mean, on the mines where you had to sit, like the small ones for 1 hour, the bigger ones, like you said, for 24 hours, every hour, a small Draconian fleet would come and hit your fleet. So even by sitting there, every hour you'd lose a little bit of health.
Yeah.
If you look back and reflecting on that, and then, I mean, I know we all know that PvP in terms of bases is broken, but we don't talk about FVF.
Versus fleet is also broken.
This is a ship-based open sea game, and FVF is completely, there's no point in it.
And that's why so many players went to World of Warships.
I tried World of Warships, did not like it.
I have some friends who did, and they're still playing there because they can do open water, ship versus ship all day long, and they have fun. Again, I don't like it, but I have some friends who do.
Yeah, each to their own.
Yeah, exactly.
I've got it in my Steam library. I think I played it for. I just had a look at it. I never really got into it because, you know what, I just about have enough time to play this game, and I thought I don't want to get addicted to another bloody one.
I'm in the same position you are, John, because it's like I'm not gonna play. This is the last time I'm gonna play a game. That's just the way I am. I'm not moving on to another game.
Yeah, this is my drug habit, and I don't need another one. You know.
Now, here's one thing I want to say. We can sit here all day and talk about how it was back in 2012, 2011. These guys at Kickside today don't know.
No, they don't.
Okay? Even if they sit down, and I know they do, I mean, they sit down and create a base and play the game. They're playing the game as the game is today. So they don't understand how important FEF was 7 years ago.
How vibrant it was, how much fun it was out there.
They don't understand how fun it was to smash a bunch of fleets, dock your dead fleet on your base, repair for 20 minutes, and be back out.
Sector v sector.
Yeah.
Right?
They also don't understand a lot of other things as far as like how it relates to. I mean, that's part of the issue. Is like, why is our portal repair time 10 hours? Because they kept on taking like the level 4 turrets at 4 hours. They kept on adding time to it, as opposed to considering that was the optimal point when it was designed. That okay, 4 hours, to repair your base, that's okay. But now we're at like 11 hours. I mean, I consider that to be a problem. They don't understand it. An example, like with these fleets that come out right now, why are the resources so low? Why they don't know why they're doing this? I mean,
and they don't even feel like the pain of having a chore fleet that's on the map doing the chore, and now some asshole with subs will sink it, and there's no hope in hell we can do anything about it. And now you're going to be stuck on the Manticore with 20 plus hours of repairs.
Yeah. I brought up earlier in the show as far as
but I mean, do they feel that pain? Are they in an alliance or in a group that pisses people off all the time by hitting their bases, which for some people is sacred? You can do that, and they're going to come in and with subs and sink every single chore fleet you have on the map.
Yeah, but Ren, when you calculate that, the 22 hours for a fleet,
20.
right? Well, whatever. Have you calculated what some people are losing if their base is hit within 5 minutes of logging off? In terms of their 2 ship builds that are halted, any repairs lost 2 hours on the fleet that they're repairing. There might be a person that's doing the FM that needs to use rockets, that docks their rockets down for 12 hours. It gets up to around about 50 hours.
And trust me, I mean, you've been here a long time. You should be a lot worse. Your lad would stay repairing for 10 hours.
The whole argument about sniping, right, in general, people that piss people off get sniped. Otherwise, not. There's
Not
a couple
true.
of arseholes that
Not
go around.
true.
There's a couple of arseholes that go around sniping everybody because they can.
Mhm.
We can't walk around and give them immunity because they're feeling great about their ego and smashing bases and leaving people in bits, and then go, "Oh, my fleet got some." Like, suck it up. You go out and call it. It's a war game. That's the risk you take.
No. I'm sorry. It was a war game when everything was a lot more balanced. When every ship you took in a base would take some damage. There were no
It's
God
it's
mode
never
conqueror
balanced
ships.
because it's never balanced because there's coin involved. So those that are prepared to spend more, that have the budget to do it, are always going to have an advantage. There's never going to be balance.
It doesn't matter how much I spend. If someone hits my PVE fleet with subs,
It's game over.
you know what I mean?
Or with the Conqueror. With the Conqueror. You get hit with the
Yeah.
Conqueror.
Conqueror fleet, yeah, you know.
Yeah.
So that,
I
there's
was
that's
with-
not balanced.
I
That's
was
not balanced.
okay
you know
with
what I mean?
my fleets on that being hit when there were no classes, when the ships
Why
were
is your
all
fleet
similar.
getting caught? Why is your fleet getting caught and sniped?
Mine isn't actually, but
Right, but why?
but it, you know,
I'm back again about core issues. People's fleets are getting sniped because they're out trying to multitask with multiple fleets, etc., doing all the chores. Yeah. If you don't have to do as many chores, you can micromanage your fleet. You can be leaving beforehand, before the battle's over, and you're not getting caught. The only thing that's going to mess you up there is pop-ups. So there's two issues at the core that are starting it, and that's the pop-ups that stop you moving away, and the amount of effort you have to do in a limited time.
those pop-ups are there
Otherwise,
for,
you wouldn't be getting sniped.
those pop-ups are there for a purpose. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Just to stop you getting out.
Exactly.
You know.
So let's look at those issues rather than being sniped. Sniping is part of the war game element of the game.
No.
Yeah, it's the fact that your people are having to have multiple fleets out that can then get caught, or the fact that the pop-ups are stopping them escaping. Because any decent player can escape and not get caught
come out
after a
hot.
battle.
Yeah, I mean, we've been coming out.
You know, I totally disagree, but I'm not going to change your mind, so that's fine.
I used to come out hot years ago. I mean, years ago, like when I would hit a base, yeah, you know, I'd bookmark the base. I'd have a gunboat underneath. If anyone was waiting for me before they had invisible subs, you know, when I'd jump out 20 seconds or so before, I would hit their fleet with my gunboat.
Exactly.
You know, and then sail off. And they're now in battle, and I've sailed off and said bye bye.
But obviously,
You know what I mean?
Ren can't do that, and I'm not going to change his mind or try and educate him. So I'll let him disagree with me.
No. I think at this point, we've been going for, we started at 7. We're 2.5 hours in.
Oh.
Going for regular.
I'm thinking at this point in time, we
Hour
can
and a
go
half.
to the, what?
Oh, sorry. I must have joined late.
We can go to the after show at this point, and we can talk about, you know, all this stuff. But after 2.5 hours, I mean, I'm getting worn out. I'm not sure if anybody else is, but why don't we go to the after show? We can talk about all this stuff, and you know, see how things go. And you know, in the after show, we'll talk about you know, why you want to get the Bat Ray, or you know, the Razor Tail. You know, but yeah, that part's fucking ridiculous. But does anybody have anything else they want to say, like right at the end of this? You know,
Two other things quickly then. Okay. Cargo fleets on the map. They need to give out a lot more cargo. They haven't been updated for years. You know, and everything now needs more res. And also the crews, the road crews, they all need updating because they relate to ships that we haven't used for 2 or 3 years. That's it. On that one.
Okay.
No, I had a
We
chat.
keep on wanting this to go, but yeah, okay. We can keep on going, you know, but I get worn out. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that I had a chat with a guy from my alliance this week, and his argument was completely opposite. That Res needs to, if they wanted to have an easier fix to PvP, obviously we understand which elements are broken, but if you reduce the Res available in other areas, then that would push people towards hitting more bases to get the Res.
But at the moment, as we know, most of the high-level bases are almost untouchable.
Yeah.
Well, you could probably still steal a bit of res out of them, but you know, if they've left some warehouses at the edge. But you know,
but the cargos themselves they're a pointless thing.
oh, I've had cargo fleets for years.
They don't offer you a challenge at all unless you're well below level 50.
They just don't give enough res to do anything with anymore. You know.
I can't think the last time I hit a cargo.
No, I fill up on the weekly mission. You know, yeah, that gets my res most of the time anyway. So, yeah.
Well, I have something to say before I go. I'm not going to make the after show tonight, but I give Kixeye credit for opening communication again. That makes me feel better about the game. Just the communication, and everyone have good luck in the raid. Have fun and enjoy.
Thank you. That's good. I'll have to find the Discord link to there. So I've got Discord. I've actually got Discord open as well, but I haven't got the Kixeye link to it. Is it on there?
It's in forums.
It's in the
It's
forums.
in forums, TFC, BPOB, Crib. I mean, all pages have also Chris with the link.
I have been busy, so I haven't had a chance to check as much.
Just go to one of the pages, search Discord. It's going to pop up.
I will do. Cheers, Red. So,
I'm sorry, I try to get off, and now people want us to keep on going. It's 2.5 hours, but
I'm done.
You think it's cool, when you go 2 hours, but
No, I'm done.
Oh, good. I understand it because I'm worn out personally.
Yeah. So, guys, good night, everyone. Have a great weekend. Thanks for letting me join.
No, you're always welcome, Ren.
bye, Red. Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Good looking raid, guys.
Good Lord, there's a voice from the past.
Who?
What's that?
G-Daddy?
What, me?
Yeah.
I've been speaking all night.
No, I've just come in from the pub, sorry.
Oh,
I haven't heard you on any of the shows in a while. You used to be on quite a lot.
Yeah, I used to see you on what's it? The show Price was on. That,
TV show.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, BV Battle Vortex. Yeah, I used to watch that.
Yeah,
you should try and keep up with all of them.
Yeah. It's all good. So, I don't know. Did we decide which chart we're gonna get, or which hall we're gonna get?
Not good.
Battery.
No. Nobody buys one versus another.
I did the razor tail. I have no idea why.
Yeah, I did the battery. I said because at torpedoes they've got the smart ECM torpedo thing.
I mean, the main reason I've told people is the reason you do it is because I think, like I talked about earlier, is you're going to get a certain percentage of your damage. I put the example out there. Like say the razor tail is going to get a half-hour damage on target A and an hour on target B, and then the bat thing is going to get the opposite. An hour on one. So, at least in my hope, that's going to happen. You're going to switch them. So I could be wrong.
So what do you think is going to happen then when they invent the third target on month 2 and then the fourth target again? Are they going to even it up? Are they going to do more damage on one hull than other hull? It's all tinfoil that stories, isn't it?
So Ren put up a post up on our page here, and the forum feedback is basically what's your pick for the raid? Share your reasons and comments. Okay, so he's just put a poll, and the poll quite simply is Razortail votes so far 167, Bat Ray votes so far 165. So
Oh,
it's
my
just so everyone should pair up basically.
Yeah.
Everyone's on the fence, aren't they? No one really knows.
Yeah, exactly. So it's funny. I've not done a raid like this before, so this series is going to be quite amusing.
Well, a few of us started that off, didn't they, by saying that we wanted co-op back in the game, and then now they've brought co-op back in the game. They're thinking, oh, maybe if we invent 2 hulls, they'll get both hulls and they'll co-op together.
Oh, I don't know.
I doubt it.
Don't say that, because then you need 2 players to play every fucking target.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's an option, you could team up with someone because it'll reduce both of yours. There is an option. There's no one saying you got to do it, but if you want to, that's another thing. So they're getting 2 fleets yourself. You team up with somebody else and you prep one, and then he says, I'm ready. You just literally swap over, and then away you go.
yeah, as I said, I could get the Bat Ray and get the wife to get the Razortail, and I don't know, but yeah.
Then you get those sneaky stealing pirates that
Yeah.
pop in and grab it just before you do.
I'm telling my alliance essentially to do exactly what you said, TSM, and that's to pair up with somebody that plays at roughly the same time, and one get one and one get t'other.
Yeah, we're doing something similar to that.
Yeah, because I'm done with the buying, with the getting 2 fleets. I might have a dalliance with making 1 or 2 of the other kind and try a mixed fleet, but other than that, no, I'm done.
Based on the vote, would you expect any difference? Because, I mean, they have given you no information on which one is better. Yeah.
Hello, Rum.
Hello.
I just changed the screen and went, Rum's, that's Rum's voice. Where's he come from?
It just shows. It just
From
shows.
Romania.
It just shows that nobody knows, does it?
Romania.
Nobody
I
knows.
love it. My own land, Romania.
Romania.
Yeah, but it's stupid. I mean, here, let's play a game. Let's see if we can trick people into doing this. We're going to give them 2 boats. We're not going to tell them which one's better, because neither one is better. They're both skilled. They're both auto. I mean, come on. Why build 2 boats then? You're going to have a mixture in order to do the target appropriately, or you're going to have to be able to draw out certain boats with the Bat Ray and follow up killing the target with the Razortail.
Well, we were just saying, like pairing up, or like, I pick one and my wife picks the other.
Mm-hmm. But that's what I say. That may be the way to go. But who knows?
Yeah, then you're going to have one fleet sat on water, though, while other fleet does the work, and they might get sniped, and then they're going to get pissed off then, aren't they?
Well, but think about it. If you pair up with somebody, then neither person gets the completion bonus.
Yeah.
That's true, too.
It's all putting lipstick on a pig.
That's exactly what it is. And that pig is sucking money out of our wallets.
Yeah, they're just, it's corporate speak. I've seen it. I've worked with it. It's absolute bollocks. They're telling us what they want to hear to keep people coining without any real change.
Well,
at
Jordy,
the fundamental level.
I agree with you, and for the most part, most of the people that play this game aren't stupid. I would like to say that we're maybe 1% above average mean intelligence, but we don't act it when we play this game because all we do is spend money.
Well, you can speak for yourself there. I'm certainly not chasing the bloody skin for the, you know what I mean?
Well, I'm not chasing the skin either, but
some are.
Mate.
I mean, I've got 60 million points. I just got enough to take the Razortail, and I hit 2 more targets after that, and I'm bored.
Yeah. We covered that a bit earlier. I'm the same. I'm just taking the bare bones, and I don't care about the rest of it, to be honest.
Well, somebody's got $1 billion.
Yeah.
You know what? That's never mind. I don't want to judge somebody else playing the game the way they want to play it.
Somebody else had 600,000 by the end of your stream, didn't they, TSM?
Well, somebody had a very large token amount, and then that person disappeared out of the game very quickly.
Oh, really? I got a feeling there's a little bit of shenanigans included there.
I'm just reading Alliance comms, yeah, and it's nothing. But we got a girl in our alliance. She said, "I've never had so much trouble spending money." She just doesn't know what to get. You know what I mean?
That's funny, that.
Yeah.
So what you're trying to say is we're all a bunch of women going shopping.
Well, I can't stand the fact of sitting here looking back and forth, back and forth. I took the razor tail. It seems like it suits my style a little more. I mean, I'm normally one that would consider the long range weapon as more of a skill hole, but hell, I can't make a decision, so I just picked one.
It does seem to me that the razor tail appears initially to be the easier option.
Yeah, but if you talk to somebody else, they say no, it's more of a skill hole than what the bat ray is. You know, nobody knows. That's what I'm saying. We're all speculating, and Kixeye loves it because you got 2 3/4 hours talking on this show about what should we do, and we don't know.
Closing the 68, range doesn't require any skill, does it?
What's that?
Closing the 68 range doesn't require any skill. That's bayonet charge range.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, there could be a certain amount of skill to it. Like you said, if it winds up that you got to be paired with somebody, I want somebody that's going to be able to pick the Reapers out and pull them and make them surface so I can run in and kill them.
The caveat, like we said with the pairing up, is obviously people stealing targets or you not getting the full bonuses.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I don't see you nipping in and out.
You know?
Well, since it's not a co-op target, you can.
I think one will be razor fin bias and one will be batwing bias. And if you're going to pair up, then the bloke with the razor wing's going to have to go in and leave you just one hull for your batwing fleet to go in and get the bonus.
Yeah, but see, I read at the end of the post that they made about the skill level or whatever, the tactics on how to play it, said that basically leave the Reaper and the Command Reaper until the end. So that sounds like...
Whoa! Where did you read this?
Whoa! I just told you where I read it.
Where was that? You can repeat it.
It was on the forum.
Okay. I just never seen that. So
well, that's why I say I read to the end of the post, and that's where it said it.
I read the end of the post where it talked about everything being equal once you hit a set. This is new knowledge as far as I'm concerned.
New knowledge?
Well, you know, it's something that I have not seen personally.
Well, I will
go ahead.
bring it up and read it for you.
Okay.
If I can find it again.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead. There's no problem. I just had not seen that before.
Skirmish cycle strategy down at the very bottom where they start talking about Command Reapers even harder to surface, but the more razor tails you put in your fleet, the more quickly you'll be able to surface. That wasn't the part. Heavy smart. Properly kiting. If you don't have the stronger cav fields at your disposal, proper kiting tactics are your best friend in combat because they will remain submerged, they will take longer to kill, so you want to focus on other less durable enemies like battleships and hunters until you can focus your fire on the Reapers without distraction. So my extrapolation of that is save the Command Reapers and Reapers till the end. I don't know. I mean, it's just I thought it was plain English.
It doesn't sound like you understand it. So
well, that's what he just said. That's what he just said. Like battleships and hunters, until you can focus your fire on the Reapers without distraction. Without distraction means there's nothing else in there. Eh?
Or nothing else moving at the time.
Exactly. I mean, it's kind of simple, Hefe. You always want to call people out and tell them they're wrong. Well, I just read it.
Yeah, and that didn't
tell me I'm wrong.
That didn't make any fucking sense. So
it's right here
it's
on the
okay. It's
post.
okay. It's okay. I mean, you can criticize people, and you can.
No, you can
should-
criticize people. That you can do that
I
really
think,
well.
I think you were already ahead of that game.
Ahead of what game? No,
Criticizing
I
people.
told you I read this, and you said, wait, where's it at?
Yeah, it still didn't make sense relative to what you initially said.
If
to be
you,
honest.
I think I said save the Command Reapers and Reapers till the very end. I think that's pretty much what they said, except it's my interpretation. Now, if you want to tell me my interpretation is incorrect, go ahead. I'd like to see you say where the proof is, because you haven't seen the target any more than anybody else has.
That's true, and that's what I've been saying.
Okay,
as
so
far
thank
as-
you. Like I said, this was my
Oh,
interpretation.
Jesus Christ, that's not what. Oh, yeah, I'm tired of this. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna tired of this sort of Rush Limbaugh shit. So I'm gonna end the show at this point, and you guys can talk about whatever you want. But I'm.
Why don't you just
I'm
leave it on the
tired-
air? Why don't you just leave it on the air and we'll talk while you're gone?
Yeah, whatever, bitch. Yeah, I mean, you keep on using these tactics that are so tired and silly.
So do you,
I-
Hefe. I'm not the one that keeps talking about you being
Oh
banned all over
yeah,
the
yeah,
place.
yeah. Okay, whatever, Rush Limbaugh. Yeah, you're tired.
Okay.
It's the way you're dealing with stuff. I mean, I like you as a person, but you're.
I'm not dealing
you're
with
tired.
anything, Hefe.
You what?
I'm not dealing with anything.
What are
I don't
you
have
doing?
any problems.
It appears you do. And so-
Well,
yeah, it's okay. It's all good, but yeah, it just does not make sense what you're saying.
what?
Does anybody else want to talk about? Does anybody else want to talk about what Rum's talking about? Because I don't want to deal with it.
No, I'm
Once
confused.
you've reduced external threats, move in extremely close to enemy Reapers, which would basically say that they're the ones that are left, whose
Mhm.
weapons have a minimum range, and take them out one at a time.
Anyway,
Alright.
change the subject. Going back to what you said earlier on, quickly. The preview stream, not the preview stream, but the stream I did in the first hour, where we quickly looked at the score chart, and someone had a crazy amount of points, and so did another player as well. I've just looked at the points now in the global, and those two names don't exist at all. I've looked right down as far as the points that they had, and they're not there.
So they cut somebody out.
2 people.
Wow.
What a surprise.
Completely gone.
The hackers were all cleared out, allegedly.
Do you know what their names were?
Yeah, if you look at my stream right at the start, about 25 minutes in, I looked at the leaderboard because someone said you'll never guess what.
Yeah.
So I looked at it, laughed a lot, and now I'm looking at it actually live in the game, and those names don't appear.
Wow.
And I've gone down past what their scores were at that time.
What do you know by any chance what sector they were in?
They were no.
Well, one was
Does
in
it tell you?
Alpha.
Yeah, it will do because it'll tell you. Yeah, it tells you
It
next
has
to
to be
the
an
name. doesn't
alpha
it?
because your stream
alpha.
was. You hadn't gone an hour, had you, TSF?
Correct. Had to be alpha. So let me just focus down on alpha only in my world.
Yeah, we can hit world.
Yeah, and that person's not there.
We had a guy in our world within 45 minutes. He was on 1 billion points. About an hour later, he was gone off the leaderboard. You know?
Damn.
In 45 minutes. I mean, I didn't even look at it because I just thought that's crazy. I thought, is there any way you could actually even blitz that? You know, I don't think you can blitz that. You know, if there was a target you can hit and just throw money at it, I don't even think you could do that, could you? I don't know if you can blitz that much.
Unless someone's changed their base name or something. I don't know, but
Yeah, but their points would still be there, right?
yeah.
So
But
if their
obviously
point
they'd
totals
look-
are gone.
They'd look different now, wouldn't they? Because they changed the name. I don't know. Anyway, right, I'm done. I'm finished. So, Hefe, finished, mate. Whatever.
Finish you? I don't even know what that means. That sounds dirty. I'm not even sure what that means. Like I said, I don't even know what that means. But
I
yeah.
thought I'd just pop on for once. I've been on for a long time, so just like
No, it's all good. Thank you for showing up, and we had a
Pleasure,
good
Zach.
time. And it's like I said, 2 hours and 47 minutes. So
And we've solved the problem. We all know what we're getting now.
yeah. Because everybody's gonna get which hall? Yeah, everybody's gonna get that hall. Which read back, and we told you which hall to get.
It's like 12 Angry Men, isn't it? Really, the film. Yeah, we just keep debating it, and that was come up with a,
yeah. You need to rewind, and then we'll see which hall we're supposed to get. And good luck with that. I would love it if they provided us much more information and make it more of a strategy game. And I would love that. That would be really cool as far as we could figure out what to do. But has anybody run across something that tells them what they should be getting?
Nope.
No.
But based on the video,
I wish
all I've
we
got is
had.
I prefer the driving style of the Razor Tail.
But
whether I get
you
more
did it
damage or
because-
less damage, it's just the driving style is more suited to me. So.
But you have that opinion because you were in the preview servers, or because
No,
what
because
you
I mean,
saw-
right
but what
and
you
wrong.
saw.
If you go back to what I said earlier on about bringing people to preview servers and the bits you look at in preview servers, there is no whole picture. I'll put it this way: I've seen more in that video than I knew before, and I gained a lot more information out of the video than I knew before I saw the video. If you know what I mean? And that's the video that's giving me my impression of what I want to go for.
Okay.
Not anything else.
What, the 1 minute video from Kickside?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, because I stopped it, played it again. Then I listened to their live stream, and then I went back and looked at it again. And then I looked on the forum and I looked at how their targets are broken down, that sort of stuff. And that's what's given me my decision to go that way.
And you're going which way?
I'm going for the Razor Tail.
Well, okay, sounds good.
Because it just suits my driving style. If I went for the other one, which doesn't suit my driving style, even though that you're supposed to get a collective amount of damage across both targets once you've used the same ships to do both, I think I would have even more damage if I went the opposite with the opposite hull.
Yeah.
Because that's not my driving style.
The reason why I think I'm going to, if I can get the bat ray, I'm going to get the bat ray because of the ECM and the torpedoes stamping out, and that's basically the start of anti-concussive weapons.
Yeah, I hear you. But my concern is that other one as well, is when the other ship starts stacking on you, and that then only just shoots at one ship at a time, and you take your time to kill the other ships. That's what I don't like about the Manticores. And that's why I'm not going to do it in this next one as well, because you're gaining extra damage because you're not killing things fast enough.
Yeah,
Can I ask a question?
I prefer the scatters this raid.
Can I ask a question on this, Mark?
You asked me. I might not know the answer, but yeah, of course you can.
Well, what I'm curious about, and you guys had a nice little section on snipers. Just out of curiosity, which one of these boats do you think would be more beneficial against snipers presently in the game?
Ooh, well, then if you're going to use the flagship, which is obviously the current only ship that you actually can go and spot people with that do snipe, then you're probably going to have to use the long range one, aren't you? Or use a speed crew and then charge them down. So if you use a speed crew and charge them down, if they've got subs, then it makes no difference because Fangtooths don't rise, even with because it's just not a ship that doesn't rise. It doesn't happen. So somebody's already in this raid, built a couple of ships and gone and tested that. And I could have told them that before that. It's a ship that doesn't come up with service.
Have they both got thermal? I know one of them's got 80 thermal, and the other one got thermal.
But they got a lot of sonar, don't forget.
Yeah, they both got 80 sonar.
Are we assuming the snipers are like Fangtooths? Are we assuming that they're like missile storm cruisers?
Or gluts?
Or gluts, yeah.
No. I'm not assuming gluts. Missile storm cruisers, like something that a level 70 can have and just run over your ships.
I'm assuming Fangtooths really, because if they can get hold of Phantom Phantom, they've got an invisible fleet that they can just sit outside your base, so you don't even know it's there unless you've got an Alloc Tide Seeker sat outside.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the problem I have is like, somebody in my ally, he's been sniped by Conquerors, and there's no defense against it, right?
Yeah, that
Well,
was
that's
Red
true.
Team.
Yeah,
It's coming out hot and whatnot, and it's 12 hours of damage and whatnot. It's not a good thing, at least in my mind.
No, I agree.
Stop it.
Yeah.
I think that they need to separate it completely to where Conquerors can't, or PvP can't hit PvE, and vice versa.
No, I agree.
I mean, that basically ends it right there, because that's what they want to snipe. They want to snipe your chore fleets and cost you a lot of time and money, right?
Yeah, it's like I said earlier, though, Rum, if you stop PvP fleets hitting PvE fleets, they'll just put PvE on guard and then you won't be able to hit the base. So they'll exploit
Well,
it.
but they can fix that with programming. They can choose what, if they can choose what type of fleet. Well, I'm getting some bad feedback. If they can choose what type of fleet can hit a target or not, they can do the same thing with base guards. They can just come up with a line that says PvE can't guard bases.
Yeah, but then you're coming up with so many rules then. People are just going to say, fuck this, I can't be asked.
Do you think there's not a lot of rules already? What's one more?
It's their development, and back to that split of PvE and PvP
You're right.
that's caused this issue.
Yeah,
Well, it's huge. That's the worst part of the thing they've done in the game since I've been playing, is the separation of PvE and PvP.
which I actually said when they first did it, it was going to ruin the game eventually.
And it's
One little tip: if you put your fleet in slot 12, it does come out underneath your gantry, so it means that they might not always see your fleet launch.
My problem is whenever I go out and auto some of these targets, like you say, I've got several out on the map at one time. They're easy targets. I can't be there when each one's going to come out.
Yeah, people were saying that they're getting sniped as they launch. Sometimes if you put your fleet in slot 12, yeah, it does launch underneath your gantry, so
Yeah,
it can be hard to spot launching.
But there's only one slot 12, right?
Yeah.
If I'm going to go out and hit 4 targets, I can only have one slot 12. Which means I still have 3 targets, or 75% of my fleet's out available to be snapped. Sniped.
The prepper for the base and the base are out at the same time.
It's what I said before about looking at the core issue. The split of the fleets and the targets. The targets have developed that you need 4 fully built ships and a flag to be doing some of the targets, or 5 fully equipped without a flag. There's no room for maneuverability in design, so that people can't put. There was a time when we used to put a frostbite in when you're out hitting cargo or something like that.
Well,
you can't do that because the targets are so punitive. If you drop a special, even never mind a ship that you put in to protect it, you're going to get smegged if you're out doing TLCs.
Well, there's several ways that they could fix this, and to me, the most simple way would be to make all this raid crap happen from within inside your base. Why do I need to put a fleet on the map to go hit a target anyway? Why do I need to waste drive time to get over there? It's all about me hitting the target and taking damage and either slow repairing or giving Kix the coin to fix it. Why do I also need to put at risk my boats for some idiot to come out and snipe them?
But why does somebody need to put their base at risk for you to have the joy from smashing it?
Because that's a part of the game.
No, it became part of the game.
Well, it's the most enjoyable part of the game.
To me,
it is.
In the example I provided, the person that got hit, my ally, he was hit by a level 70.
And you can't hit him back. Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a different issue. Yeah. The way to solve it.
I'm more of that. Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The way to say something fair is if it applies in one direction, okay, then it has to apply in the other direction, okay. Otherwise, neither are okay. So if you're prepared to go around smashing people's bases and cost potentially 50 hours of setback time in terms of the development within the game, then you've got no good reason to be shouting about losing 20 hours of fleet repair. Because you've done equivalent to them. They're getting it back.
But
Hurts-
the difference is, Jordy, the difference is PvE versus PvP.
But bases can defend themselves
No,
a lot.
explain
Yes,
that.
they sure can.
Rum,
You know?
explain that to me. PvE versus PvE.
Before
What
you do, I'm going to say goodnight, gents. It's 3:00 in the morning here. I'm off.
Good night, Mark.
Yeah,
It was fun as always.
All the best.
But to me, I enjoy base sitting, and I don't mind my base getting hit. At the moment, obviously, we know that's sort of out of the question for most of the high levels now. But everything else that I do is a means to be able to do that. Basically, is to get the fleets, to get the parts, to get the bits and pieces, to allow me to hit other bases.
Yeah,
I'm not big on fleet v fleet out on the map.
Jordy, back to your point that you were talking about.
Yes, right.
Why does anyone have the need to hit a chore fleet? Because there is a differentiation.
Yeah.
There's
Why
complete differentiation. There is. I mean, I can't. If I were to be stupid enough to take a PvE fleet in to hit your base, it's going to get blasted and disappear. So nobody's going to do that.
Right. So in your world, it's and my world as well. So I'm not differentiating. It's perfectly acceptable if you hit somebody's base for them to hit your base back. It's revenge.
No, wait, hold on. We didn't get all the way through the point. If I go hit your base,
Yeah.
okay, and let's say I smash your base,
Yeah.
but you had the common, or not common sense, you had the sense to put a fleet out on the map, and I'm lackadaisical leaving your base, man, you've got every right to smash my fleet. And your best bet would maybe be with subs, I don't know. But if you got a hard on enough for me to smash your base, to go back to my base and kind of let things cool off, and then you're still sitting around stalking me, waiting to pick on a chore fleet because you know it's a victory. When I go to your base, I don't know it's a victory. I'm going in there for competition.
Well,
And when
base
you
is a challenge.
hold on. When you snipe my chore fleet with a conqueror fleet or with subs, there is no competition. It's a guaranteed win.
Totally agree.
Yeah, but you're in a lot. I'm at a level and I've got the gear, but and your alliance has got some good shit and they play well and they work all of it. But I've seen guys, and they're going into bases where there's no competition and they're trouncing it. In Bounty, my ult was set up with its 4 warehouses and the OP on the outside, and a guy from PNLS still went in, killed the whole fleet and the whole base.
That's just somebody being an ass. That's not the way I play the game.
So why if he's being an ass, what's wrong with somebody being an ass back?
You know what? Those guys,
if
Jordy,
I'm-
those guys that are going to be an ass are going to be an ass no matter what, whether they're playing checkers, chess, baseball, football, whatever. The whole world is full of asses. You can't get retribution on an ass like that because they have no conscience.
You can get retribution, mate. You will wear people down just by belting their troll fleets.
Yeah, well, but
you can do it. It's a valid tactic that's been used in real warfare.
Can I tell you something now? I'll tell you something now. Who gets hit? Whose chore fleets get hit in my alliance? Yeah, it's the low levels. It's
right,
the low
it's the
level
people that
guys
can't
that are
afford it.
grinding. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
the guys that are struggling to get that are working hard. Yeah, it's not normally the big guys that are getting hit. Okay, it's the small guys, the ones that they are really suffering the most. They're the ones that are getting their chore fleet sniped.
Isn't that
That's
the
the truth.
rules of war, though? Don't you normally pick a